Test. These mics are live, guys, just so you know. Just tossing one here, it's live, just in case you're saying anything.
What is that?
That's a mic, a microphone, so when people on the stream are watching, they can hear questions. Just putting it there because I never know what people are talking about, giving them a heads up.
Okay.
I can move it from you if you don't
I'll sneeze this way.
say. It's actually really good. Like for example, when it's being thrown, it cuts off,
Oh, really?
so it doesn't catch all that. And
cool.
you don't have to hold it like right here. You got hit in the head with one. Yeah.
Is that an Amazon product?
No, it's a brand called Catchbox.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Oh, you need HDMI.
O sea, cuando yo no tiene lo máximo que tiene que pagar vuelve a pagar grande, América es mucho grande.
Have you guys
Es
seen
decir, por
your
un
live
pie de
stuff?
15, 20 dólares al mes, pero cuando se está comprando para otros, usted tiene la referencia de otra ambición. No, yo estoy para
They just keep pushing, just pushing and pushing us to do live every day.
700 para arriba.
Do live stream
Yeah.
for 2 hours, and then they specifically want to do 2 hours on that stream.
That's a long time.
That's a long, labor job.
¿Qué está leyendo?
Do you script the whole thing or you kind
I
of
don't.
just do it kind
Ay,
of whatever?
I just forgot to the goods and the benefits, but they have. For YouTube.
¿de qué país es usted?
Okay.
Mira, ¿de dónde?
2 minutes.
Antes de ayer, esta semana, el martes pasado, if I use
There's too much queues,
de
too many products. The brands are going high.
I don't.
brands,
You have a section. You have such
en
like, oh, they build up.
angel investors, todos.
I don't know, like this,
Departamento de...
Don't forget.
Hay dos cosas con el departamento.
And then
Miami
you take
County
questions.
tiene un programa para small businesses. Y ellos por ahí manejan todo lo que son todas las organizaciones, los comisionados tienen grants y ellos difunden información. Por ahí puedes a lo mejor levantar
like Staples,
levantar un poco de la Si es grant, no lo paga. Si es préstamo, lo paga. Si es un investor, posiblemente te haga.
there's always some delivery coming in. Oh, it's bad.
Ya lo hice. Y estoy estudiando, estoy procrastinando, buscando un producto perfecto para poder hacer private label.
No existe un producto.
No, eso más que todo levantar un poco más de fondo para poder hacer private label, hacer quedarme sin personalidad.
¿Cómo es?
Una marca.
Yo hay que voy a comprar una joya.
Eso lo aprendí hoy. Hay marcas que te están pidiendo ya 100 unidades de comprar para poder hacer lo que
It's crooked, right?
tampoco es seguro.
I remember it being like this kind of
Pero
supermarket.
Steve's on the screen, but mess with him and tell him it's not crooked, it's obvious.
genera la factura con el nombre de tu compañía y tu dirección. Y arriba, con toda la información, mandas fotos del producto en tu mano, mandas fotos de la caja donde recibiste los productos. Hazte un caso y con ese es el que haces el ambiente. Aquí le estoy mandando a la compañía tal, la factura tal, el número tal, el producto, esto es para liberar el SIM tal, complemento con fotos del producto, recibido, etcétera, etcétera. Y con eso, ¿qué es lo que pasa? Eso es una parte. La otra parte es la historia que tenga tu tienda. Si tu tienda es muy nueva, tu tienda no va a hacer un game. Una de las cosas
3 minutes. Okay, sorry about that. You guys ready?
¿Listo?
All right.
Hacer un game así no las para vender.
Thank you guys so much for coming out, and we got a bunch of other people on the way. Today's topic's going to be profitably sourcing products in the U.S. What I normally do when we go to a trade show or a conference as a group, we've been getting better about organizing it ahead of time so we can go together. I think this is your first one going with us. It's a great experience going with a bunch of other people. If you don't want to be around a bunch of other people, you still should be going to trade shows and conferences as it works for you. But it is a much more elevated experience going as a group. We've done stuff together, especially China. But any of them's great. We just went to PLMA this last week, and normally what happens is if we go to a trade show or conference during the week, that weekend we don't have a meetup. The following week we do kind of like Raul, I didn't see you speaking back there, Raul. We do kind of like a post-op of what happened and share, and the benefit is the people who didn't go can benefit from everything that we collectively learned, and those of us that went can also catch up on things that we've since had time to really go over and reach out and learn. What I find though is, if I call the title of those events, debrief of PLMA, you kind of feel like, wow, I probably shouldn't go to that one because. So I structured this one to where we're going to talk about how to find suppliers. So if you didn't go, this is going to make a bunch of sense for you. Yeah. Was it Steve who said that he wanted to see my face? Remember, if it's Steve, you can pick a little fun at him. He's a long time wizard. I would say biblical days. Thank you for that. And so we're going to talk about that. And I'm going to share not just PLMA. I'm going to share what would be my top 3 places for finding products that you can get from the U.S. You don't have to get your products from the U.S. There's great ones that you can get everywhere else in the world. The easiest spot to actually probably get products is China. It just comes with like the broadest amount of stuff. So it depends what you're looking to get and what you're trying to do. We have several meetup events in the pipeline that are going to be like January, February type meetup events that I'm already working on, which is bonkers. It's mental to me that we're already talking about 2025, at least on the content calendar side. And these are pure sourcing from China. So like we're going to cover both for those of you that don't like the ease and convenience and affordability of sourcing from the US. So we're going to cover all that in the group. How's the audio? They can't hear me with this, huh? You know what? This is the new mic. Yeah, I'll just switch to a cube and I'll have to troubleshoot these mics. I'll switch to a cube and then we'll just troubleshoot those mics while we're off. Which, by the way, we don't have a meetup next week. We're celebrating Thanksgiving, so there's no meetup next weekend. And we only have like 2, maybe 3 meetup events left in the year. For those of you that this is your first year in the group, that's you no longer. You're a veteran now. We take off the last 2 weeks, and then if the Saturday falls like the day after New Year's, we're not coming to that either. So it's like 2.5 weeks or so that we take off for the holidays. We're going to cover that. That's what we're going to talk about today. So whether you went to PLMA or not, there's going to be a lot of value they're going to be able to get from this group. The audio is better, hopefully, yeah. And the audio is going to be a work in progress, at least for the next few months. We upgraded to a new mic for those of you on the stream, and go figure, upgrade comes with some challenges. Oh, I got to pop this up here for you guys because you guys are seeing me double, and that's too much.
if this is your first time coming to a meetup event, or you haven't been to enough to know this is kind of a format we have, we're going to do a beginner hour. These are sponsors that make this happen. We're going to do that till about 2 o'clock, give or take 5 minutes. Then we're going to go into our topic of the week. This week is the topic that I just shared with you. The only thing we're doing out of the ordinary this time is one of these sponsors is going to come in and speak for like 5 minutes between the beginner hour and the other one. It's Miami, so 5 might be 10. If that's the case, I'll make up for that on the other end. So we might run 5 to 10 minutes longer on the 2 to 3:30, just so you can plan accordingly for that. These sponsors, again, make all this stuff happen. The snacks in the back, to my wife allowing me to do this at scale for a decade. So it's, even if you're not working with them, giving them a high five, taking a selfie with them at a trade show, whatever the case may be, like they're good. Yeah, I think I covered everything there. I made a ton of notes today because there's a lot of stuff to go over in this. What I'm getting into the habit of doing, but because we went to PLMA and we're not taking a week off, I do have several products that I'm going to show as an example, but I'm saving them to show as examples in the back end of the actual topic of the week. So I'm going to show you some ones that I actually found that are great, why I think they're great, and I'll show that in the back end, like closer to around 3. We'll get into that. So I do have those. So for the beginner hour now, I don't have products that I'm not going to do live product sourcing. I do have some stuff that I would cover that I feel is super appropriate for the beginner hour, but before doing that, does anybody have any questions? We try to focus on nothing but beginner. Try not to word it as the beginner advanced level blank. That's not how you word it. But if nobody does have questions, if nobody's asking questions, feel free to just jump in with another question and we can field it. It's very like AMA style. Also, I'll give you my best answer on something, but it doesn't mean that I have to be the only one answering it. Feel free to chime in if you have a different opinion. It's not that kind of meetup. Yep. No questions.
Good question. With regards to packaging, this is a general question.
Can someone toss him the mic, please? You could throw it.
With regards to packaging, I know at PLMA I looked at the showcase with the new and up and coming folks, and I noticed a lot of packaging. Is it good practice to have like a picture of the item itself on the packaging, or just your branding all over it?
That's a great question.
Because I saw a lot with like, maybe it was like corn, like they would have a picture of corn on the packaging.
That is an amazing question. Yeah, that's probably one of the best, that's the best question I've been asked, I think, this year.
That's an honor. Thank you, Carlos.
And for a lot of reasons, Yeah. So one of the product sourcing is my superpower. And like I could get something and just like, I have no idea. I think it's just been in it for so long, but picking winning products, turning something into a winning product, making like, especially in the areas of CTR, click-through rate, like getting more clicks, and CVR, getting those conversions, like that's my jam. Like I love that. Ro will tell you, like that's when you're here during the week, that's all we talk about. Like we got stuff up on the screen and we're toying with it. So when I'm going to answer this a little backward because I think it'll make sense later. When you're looking at and you said corn. I'm going to say this product because he openly talks about this product here. Otherwise I would not do this, but like, well, I won't even say his name. Say you have a fertilizer and it's a fertilizer for corn, right? What a lot of people will do is they'll just create this nice bottle and they'll call it fertilizer, and they have this listing up on Amazon and it shows a bottle, it says the ounces hopefully. And then when I get in and I look at this, I'm like, man, people want to see that visual representation. How about we get a little ear of corn and we size it up into the corner of this product and make it overlap so the bots are okay with it, and we add the corn as an optimization. Once we see that that's helping improve click-through rate and conversion though, I think this is where a lot of people, for most people don't even get there. Most people just leave it. But the next step should be, oh wow, this corn looks absolutely phenomenal. It helps increase our clicks and increase our conversions. The next round of our evolution of our packaging, let's work that ear of corn or some corn into the packaging itself.
Right.
For most Amazon sellers, that's kind of like phase 2 or phase 3 of the evolution of their packaging. So if you have I can tell you so many that I've seen a supplement or some kind of, I guess turmeric would be a supplement, right? But like if someone's selling turmeric and it just says turmeric and it's in an orange jar, but it doesn't show the root, doesn't show the root cut, doesn't show like that gold powder, that pile of turmeric, doesn't show any of that. So they wind up in an attempt to increase their click-through rate and their conversion, they'll add that as image optimizations around it. But again, once you see it works, you should. So that packaging won an award. I don't know what their packaging looked like when they first started that product. I don't know if they evolved that product multiple times based on the feedback that they were getting from it. But I do think it's a good idea to visually show the product and sort of the destination, not the journey, right? So if you're talking about you want someone to feel hydrated, what can you create? I don't know, is that water drops? Like what is the thing that would just express hydration? So try to, you want to kind of show that. If maybe you're showing someone on the cover and they're holding it and they're like, that sign that we know is like you just ran, you're probably wearing something that looks like you were getting a little athletic and you just did that. I probably look horrible doing that with my little belly, but you get it, like think athlete. And that's what's going on. So you could express a lot that way. I think it's good to represent that into the packaging. Another thing is a lot of people at PLMA, their primary focus is selling on the shelves of big box retail stores. So the packaging for a big box retail store and the packaging, the best packaging you could think of for big box retail and the best packaging you can think of for Ecom or Amazon, whatever, they're not the same. Like one might have I'm gonna draw a blank, maybe you know the name of it, but you know those packagings that are out there that have the hole so you can slide it on? The name's escaping me. But like you have a little rod and you can slide a bunch of them on there.
Blister pack.
Yeah, so you might have a blister pack. Those are retail packagings. When you buy something from Amazon and you receive a product that's in that sort of packaging, that either means that this person sells in retail and they're just moving some of that same inventory into Amazon, or they don't know better and they just saw this in the store themselves and it was like their supplier said, hey, this is great packaging to put this in, just do it, and they just ran with it. Bigger brands are really starting to move in the direction where they have different packaging for e-com than they do retail. Yeah, it's a lot of, I love that question. I feel like we could do an entire event on it, but there's a lot there. Yeah, did that help at all?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, any other questions?
Really?
Yeah.
For let's say we back from the show,
Hypothetically, or?
but back from the show, and you have to make a packaging for your product. What's your standard for how to decide the size of your package? Like you want to do like a standard, like a retail standard packaging, or you want to make your own size, like a 4 ounce, you know what I'm talking about, 4 ounce or 8 ounce or even like a pound or even more different sizes. What's your standard for e-com route?
Okay, so I feel like there's two questions there.
Okay.
So I feel like you're asking how to decide on what sort of packaging that you should use and whether it should be smaller or larger.
Yeah.
And it sounded like there was a variation question in there as far as volume, as far as are we talking about how do we know whether we go with the 6 ounce, the 8 ounce, the pound, the
Yeah.
pail? Like it sounds, so I feel like those are two separate questions.
Okay.
The easier one for me to do is the variation. If you're selling a product that other people are selling, and I know you would have a unique ingredient or a unique spin to yours, hopefully, but you do see a ton. What Amazon is data. You have a ton of software out there and a ton of just eyeballs on Amazon to tell you what is selling best. It does also show you what is not selling. So like, let's just an extreme example. You see that somebody is buying, there's a 1-pack and a 3-pack on the variations, but then you see the next level is a 12-pack. I think it's safe to say when you see that the 12-pack is selling 1,000 a month from some other brand, and this brand is doing really good on their 1-pack and their 3-pack, it's pretty safe to say that there's room for a 6-pack in there. You get my logic? Like, why would you not? The pricing at a 10 might be like, well, if you're gonna do a 10, you do a 12, you know? So, but there's it's safe to say there's a 6. Now, none of them are selling a 5-pound pail. Is there room for a 5-pound pail? Like, who would buy that? Is it a prepper? Is it B2B? Who would be those buyers? That's going to require a little more research, but for the most part, unless you're inventing something out the box, and I'm not going to say what you're doing, but knowing that, kind of trying to answer it for you, you have enough data out there that's going to tell you. Pick your first few that are going to be the winners. These move the best. As far as variations, as far as packaging, very simple. And this is a massive change. You guys have heard me say this, but for those of you that haven't, for those of you that have, suffer through this with me for a second. And for those of you that haven't, there's not much after 15 years of full-time selling on Amazon and a bunch of successes that I make a massive change in my business. This is a massive change in my business over this year. And that is something I decided I want to do YouTube, right? And I'm taking this completely, nothing to do with Amazon. I'm taking this course, and I was shocked to find out how much emphasis they place on the thumbnail, the title and the thumbnail. Like they're saying, don't script, don't record, don't do all this heavy lifting, because if no one clicks on it, it doesn't matter. And when I'm looking at this, obviously I can't walk through a store without looking at something and say, oh, $20, I can get that for $1. You know, your mind just does that. And when I saw this, I couldn't help but think Ecom and Amazon, and I'm like, man, how many times do I see products, or I've done it, and I put this product up there because I feel like I'm going to beat them on PPC, I'm going to beat them on reviews, but I'm not thinking about beating them on the main image until after the fact. So that changed. So in the YouTube world, that's called TTH. It's called title, thumbnail, hook.
Yep.
So applying the TTH method to Amazon is something I'm going to do now moving forward with all products. I'm not buying anything until I can show I can prove, and we can use PickFu, we can use Product Opinion. There's a lot of good ones out there, right? But I'm going to prove Definity, preferably with like an 80-20, 70-30 split, that my product, my main image, my packaging is what's really going to pull this off. That's what's getting their attention. That's what wins. Don't order the product unless you can do that, in my opinion. Right? Just don't. There's no need to do it. Spend the time you need doing that. This is gonna call it a scroll stopper. I love PickFu, but Product Opinion also has this other one. Like they'll let you do a simulated search and insert your product in a search result. And once people get to go through it and spin through it, make sure they saw yours. You need to win that, because that's what it's all about. Like you need to win that. Take the time doing it. It's going to be your biggest profit engine by doing this.
Okay.
So packaging is almost everything in that. So that is what would drive if someone comes to me and I talk to my friend, I find myself doing it sometimes, like, what do you think of this package? Or somebody comes to me and says, what do you think of this? And I'm like, my answer is, does it have an 80-20, 70-30 split in your favor when you run it through PickFu? Would 80% of the people pick yours over the other one, assuming you have the same amount of reviews and everything else? If so, I like it. I love that. Like, that's what you want to do. Yep.
So when you said run it through like PickFu, I haven't used PickFu yet, to be honest, but so you would throw a photo of your image, and then would you pull a competitor's image and then run it through PickFu? Are you allowed to do that?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 100% you can. I'm planning, and it's going to be 3 of us up here when we do it. You might be able to even trick Raul to jump up here, but 3 or 4 of us sitting up here when we do it, and I'm planning an event that we're going to do. We're going to do that live, because I think there's a lot of things that people are not doing correctly with PickFu. Like, I'm not saying you, but I could pick on you a little bit because I know you. So like, you immediately jump to your product versus your competitors. For a while, it should be your product against your product, and dialing in, getting to the thing that's like where you need to get, like, this is the best thing that I have, and then go at your competitors. You also want to make sure that the people on those polls, and we'll just, again, I'm a PickFu fanboy. They're a sponsor of ours. They have been one of our first sponsors here forever, but it's not because of that. There's a lot of other ones out there too that have their strengths that you can use. But do small polls in the beginning. Like if you're trying to test, I don't know, color, and that's the only variable here. Test one variable at a time. If you're only testing color, do a poll for like 15 to 25 people. That's not the stage to get 100 people, to pay for 100 people to take a look at this, right? Can you do these little micro tests
Like the majority of the pig food tests by volume that I do are smaller micro tests to make tweaks.
I went out, regarding to your question about the size of the, you want to have, keep in mind also the shipping costs. Not only for Amazon, for if you have a Shopify. Depending on the size that you're gonna use for your package, probably bring to another shipping category and it's gonna be expensive, or if you are doing different sizes or different multi-package, you will consider the weight of the package also.
Yeah. Cool.
Carlos, since we started talking about Pickle and micro testing, right?
Yep.
Let's say invest a few $1,000s into getting. I'm fine.
It's on the stream.
It's more for the stream to hear it, otherwise I gotta repeat.
Let's say I invested a few grand into getting the best results to get, top CTR. My competition is catching up to me, because they're copying everything I do. Let's say I go ahead and copyright the images and I do a DMCA. What is the success rate that you have experienced with it?
100% on a DMCA.
Do you take it to the litigation later? Because it's only 14 days that they do to take it down, then they can...
I've never had it take I've never had it take as long as 48 hours.
No. They take it down, but now they can appeal it. It's
Yeah.
just a button that they can appeal it. It's 14 days. They can go back up again.
Oh, yeah, I would take that to the mat. I've never lost a DMCA.
Oh, never lost it, right?
I've never lost. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, you technically, if you created it, it's yours, and you could proceed with the DMCA. I find those to be kind of weak, so I'm not a fan of like LegalZoom or whatever you use, but actually pay the 40, 60 bucks or whatever. Like if you're investing in your images you created, like pay the 40, 60 bucks per image and get them protected. Then when you have that, an actual copyright, then
I think it's 750 images for $55. That's what it is.
how much?
Copyright.gov. 750 images at once you can do.
Oh, good. I've never done it. That's great.
Okay.
750 for how much? For 55 bucks?
55, and I want to expedite it.
That's cheaper than me. I'm paying 40 to 60 bucks an image on LegalZoom.
Oh,
So
Can you say
that
that
sounds
again?
better. I would go his way.
copyright.gov,
Uh-huh.
and then 55.
Hopefully it doesn't look like the USPTO site, which just makes
It
me
is.
want to pop
It's,
adverts.
yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Check it out.
750 per
But I'm
shot.
also one of those people that pays $25 for a resale certificate when you can apply online for free, because I looked
I
at it
know.
and I'm like, oh, no. But yeah, that's great.
Okay. And then speaking of Pigful, do you actually using Pigful, or you prefer using like an MTurk as a...
I find PickFood, and this has nothing to do with them being the sponsor, I just find them head and shoulders better than almost everybody else out there. I like using Mechanical Turk for non-pole related stuff, or if you're using MicroWorks, any like random task. Like if I need, part of my launching a listing is I'll probably want to get like 50, 60 frequently asked questions asked on my listing and answered. I'd use MTurk for that. But yeah, I don't know. I try the new stuff when it comes out. There's a few that I've seen that I'm like, man, they rival PickFoo and kind of these polls, but their big push is like, we're cheaper. And I'm not trying to overpay, but one thing that scares the crap out of me is somebody shows me this amazing software and says it's free. Because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna build everything I do on this. You're not charging money. You can't support, you can't grow, you can't evolve your business if you're not charging money. So for me, it's like, PickFoo falls into that. You've been around forever. I can build these automations. I can get credits. But they don't have some features that Product Pinion have. So my two are usually PickFoo and Product Pinion. Simulated search is a game changer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just did a big full test. Would you do an A/B test after the big full?
Ralph.
Would I do an A/B test after a PickFoo?
Yeah, would you do an A/B test after a pick full? You get the winner.
You mean
with with a
experiments on Amazon?
yeah, with a main image. So, or you just do an A/B test, or you just upload the winner of the pick full.
That's a good question. I'm trying to think of an instance where I pick food and then
A/B tested.
A/B tested. I want to say we have, but I don't, since I'm struggling to think about it, I'm going to say, I'm going to say at least that that's not a practice that we do.
Okay.
So, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Because
I'm still not, it's gotten a lot better, but a lot of those Amazon experiments, like I've never looked at them across like a big amount of time and felt that they had no risk. Like I found them always to have some sort of negative impact on what's going on. Like I don't think they've gotten a lot better.
yeah.
Yeah, but okay, how about this? I trust my experience on my polls more than I trust Amazon. You know, to me, it's kind of like I have a special folder. It's not spam, but it's I never look here, and that's where all the emails go where Amazon's giving me PPC advice. I don't even look at them anymore.
Yeah.
Like I don't. I would rather sit there with someone that has a $50 a month budget and started selling a month ago, and hear like what they're learning about PPC. And anybody that doesn't know, that's like you're not learning much. But I would rather do that than just even see the subject line of an Amazon PPC recommendation email. So like, I don't, same thing with their auto repricer tool that they have built in. I don't like it. I don't trust it. Like, I don't see why I would use that. That's my take.
Pickful allows you to upload, I guess, connect your Amazon site portal with.
You could. I don't really
Does
use
that
it.
work?
I use it. I use it all. The majority of what I use it for is testing images.
That's what
Like main images, I do secondary. I do a lot of secondary image tests. I used to do some A+ testing, but I've just found like either we can do our own in-house, or there's some people out. But I mean, the people out there that I'm talking about are they're going to cost you. Like,
Yeah.
You're going to invest. But there's just some monsters out there that can create some stuff that's just fantastic, and I'd rather just. Yeah. But no, main images. Titles, main images, another type of test is not even just like which one would you like when you look, it's do you know what this is? Just like by looking at this main image, do you know what this is? Do you know what's like, what's inside? Like what's somebody look like kind of reading when they see it? That's a really good one. So you want to get more than just the yes, no, you want to get the why. And then you can, for a bunch of reasons. One, you learn a lot from the why, but the other one, you just realize some people are just mean people. Like, you know what I mean? They're just like, and I don't want to put a lot of weight into what they said. Like, they're just, like, orange made them think of something in high school or whatever. I'm like, what? Like, that doesn't really do anything. Yeah. Yep.
Regarding the main image,
Yeah.
I have a question about that.
Main image.
Is it naive to assume that because my main image really, no one really knows what it is, but is it naive to assume that if people search the keywords and they end up looking at a bunch of images, one of which is mine, that they already know that is for the product that they're searching for?
You guys have some phenomenal questions today. That's a great question. But I feel like, and I'm not going to repeat it even if I remember, but I feel like you told me your product once before and I'm kind of blanking. So
It's a beauty product.
Yeah, okay. And I'm going to use a product as an example that I think everyone here knows. And that's a tub of protein powder. Right? You definitely get it. This guy Jack, right beside you. That's his breakfast. Like, so this guy shops for his protein powder. He searches for protein powder and he sees the outline of that tub. He knows what it is, right? But having done a lot of testing and seeing things like putting the Made in the USA flag on it, sizing up if it's plant-based protein, and that's if that's what my product is, sizing up what the main thing is that they're going to buy it for, knowing that I'm looking at this protein tub and it's really not screaming at me as to how many grams of protein that is, and that's a pretty big thing as to why somebody would buy protein. If I'm at 50, I don't even know if you can do 50 grams, but 50 grams of protein, right? I mean, this is pretty common throughout the space. Like, I didn't invent this, but like, I would, after the fact,
write that in and make it look like it's, I mean, this is just smacking you in the face. This is 50 grams of plant-based protein. And doing those things, and there's a lot more, massively increase the click and the conversion. So even if somebody does a search and your product comes up and they just kind of assume that it is relevant or it is what they searched for, another product that is using visual, representing keywords visually or has the keyword positioned, written on it where they can see it, they're gonna beat you. Everybody fair? Did you get me? Because I had to like think a lot. I was trying to choose my words right, but like, so don't let them assume. Like, don't think they're gonna read. Don't think they can spell. Don't do that. Just, if you can visually represent, if it makes you happy, show happy. Write happy.
So we're talking about subsequent tiles, not the main image, right? 'Cause
No,
I'm
you
a
want
rule
to pull it off in the
follower,
main
so
image.
Did something change with the requirement where I thought that we can only do seamless white background product?
And you'd be quoting almost word for word what the terms of service says. Like, to be fair, like you would, but
Like, I'm not gonna be taken down if
No.
I put stuff.
no, until you are. And when you are, everyone will know about it because it'll be the biggest thing talked about in Amazon. Amazon is removing all the, that would be the whole catalog almost, or all the best sellers, but let me just search for something. Oh, I'll use, well, let's use, so here's your white backgrounds ads, but already you're seeing some pills added here. Here we go. It's got a little farm going on. And this is, these are not bad. Now I'll show you an extreme example that I like to give. You've seen this before. But this is my friend Aaron. Well, look at this. Milk splashes,
Oh, wow, no.
right? This is my friend Aaron. This is about. Oh, this isn't even the tough one. Normally, there's other ones with the coffee and all kind of stuff going on here. But we got the milk whipping around. We got all these variations. The only thing you're getting is this. Even the packaging when you receive it doesn't say a lot of this stuff. So, I'm not sitting here saying that terms of service says that you're allowed to do this, but it seems to be something that you can get away with, and that's pretty much what everybody's doing that's doing like really, really high volume sales. Are you guys pushing any limits with these types of things or no?
You know what?
Like your products, do you have anything outside of your products, or you're just doing your product in a plain white background?
We have outside the other person.
Yeah, yeah, it's
It's a visual that
Yeah.
makes you
Right.
taste it, you know.
yeah. If you can make somebody taste it, you're much closer to them buying it. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? No. Okay. Since this is the beginner hour, before we get into other stuff, so we got some veterans here today. So before you guys start yawning and trying to leave, right? This is the beginner hour. I got a lot of questions over the last week, especially with people that went to PLMA, and they're good questions. But it made me think. I was like, man, don't we cover this a lot? Like, am I saying this the wrong way that someone's not getting it? But like one of the ones we were talking to somebody, and it was like, at PLMA. It's a great opportunity for private label, and it's a great opportunity for PL wholesale hybrid, and it's a great opportunity for wholesale, for those who do the wholesale model. But it's like, which ones are good wholesalers? Which ones are good private label sellers, right? So I wanted to just revisit some basics, just to show you how basic this can be. But with and I wanted to do this, and this is really just the only thing you need to do. But thoroughly research your niche. I'm going to do this for private label and wholesale, but these are the only steps. And you look at these and decide where you're cutting corners, because that's what it comes down to. You're cutting corners in one of these areas. It might be because of money. It might be because of the risk tolerance that you have, but you're cutting corners in one of these areas, and you're trying to compensate now with this weird thing that somebody put in a newsletter or a webinar
and you're betting everything on this weird little hack, right? In private label, thoroughly research your, thank you, bro. Save the day.
Switch the screen to the street.
I'll switch it. I'm sorry? Do what?
That's what that was street.
Oh, okay. Yeah, nothing, I want to get like a little switcher where I can just. Yeah, so you have to thoroughly research, and before you say this is obvious, I talk to a lot of you one-on-one, and you're skipping some of these areas. So thoroughly research your niche. Identify products with high demand and low competition. I put here, create compelling product listings with professional images. Optimize the heck out of your product. This is, out of all these areas, this is not the area to try to save a bunch of money. Like this needs to be amazing. Like this will cost you dearly in every other area. And this is one of the main ones where everybody's skimping. Understand Amazon's policies, right? Understand their fees. And I'll use myself as an example, since this is the beginner hour. When I first started selling, I found a product that was selling on Alibaba for $5 and it was selling on Amazon for $10. And I said, that's $5 profit. I didn't factor in shipping, I didn't factor in anything. It was just what it sold for here and what it sold for here, and the difference was all my profit, right? Really understand your fees, right? So that means even if you thoroughly research your niche and find something that had high demand and low competition, and you created a great listing, if you don't understand the fees, you're done. Like you're not making any money. Except Amazon's the only one making money. And use tools in this process, whether it's optimizing the listing, helping you look for your keywords. There was a time 15 years ago where you didn't need to do that. I don't think it should be the starting spot for you to look for products, but once you have found something you're looking for, you really need to bring the software involved. There's way too many sellers and competition out there. There's way too many moving parts. Amazon's adding something new in the ad space weekly. So you really need software to help you out. Look at it as an employee that you have in your business, right? And focus on positive reviews, not 99% positive reviews. What happens is you're going to skip something and you're not going to thoroughly research your niche. You're going to get into something you're passionate about, and then you're going to jump into a product and realize, wow, anybody with under 1,500 reviews doesn't get any sales. And now you're spending just this insane amount of time on reviews, when in reality you just picked the wrong product. So if you, it's basic, like that is it. There's a few supporting points for each one, but if you do all those things right, you're in good shape on Amazon, okay? Things happen in business. Chairman, you don't agree?
Right?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. But that's it. Amazon can be that simple. But if you, does anyone feel like they're shorting themselves in any of these areas? Nobody, right? Okay. In wholesale, it's the same thing, it's just a few tweaks. You still need to thoroughly research the brand and the sales history. This is gonna matter a lot. Like, has Amazon ever been selling this product direct on the box? How frequently does that happen, right? Just a slight modification. You still wanna identify the products that have high demand and low competition. The competition there just takes another form sometimes, and that is the competition of other sellers reselling that product, right? Add value, a new one. You didn't have to do that when I first started selling and you were doing wholesale. It's just buy it, flip it. They were none the wiser. Now, if you want to do wholesale and scale it out as a business, you pretty much need to have like a pseudo agency to really add value. Like you almost need to have like a little mini in-house agency to really crush it. This other one, don't buy extinction level quantities, right? Huge. You don't know if you buy a bunch of stuff if Amazon's going to wind up being on the box. You don't know if there's a recall. You don't know if Amazon removes you from the category. You don't know. You need to be able to buy an amount of products that if something bad happened, you can keep going. So I call those extinction level quantities. Like you've got to be very careful with that. There's no need to do that. If a supplier is telling you that the only way they'll sell to you is if you do this huge quantity that can put you out of business, it's not a good time. Don't do it.
You still need to know Amazon's policies and fees, you still need to understand shipping, and you still need to use software. Just the software takes a different form. You're probably using less PPC software and using more forecasting, more repricers. That's it. But they're almost the same thing regardless of the selling model that you're doing as a beginner seller. You with me? Yeah. I was thinking we're gonna get like 10 questions out of that. You guys are looking at me like, no one wants to be the one to say they don't know something that's basic. Go ahead, Ting, you're the brave one.
But you mentioned if Amazon's on the listing with that, let's say the white label brand.
So is that means if Amazon's on this white label brand on that listing, is that means this brand made a deal with Amazon, so Amazon order large quantity from them and have them to resell for them. Is that how that work?
So you're asking if something is shipped from and sold by Amazon?
Yes.
Right. For the most part, what that is Amazon has a relationship now with that brand direct. For the most part.
Okay.
They have a relationship now with that brand direct. The other part, that now they're gonna buy large quantities, for someone that sells on the vendor central side too, that's not how that works. As a matter of fact,
Okay.
it's super frustrating because you'll get your first series of POs and they order 9 POs, 11 units. So you need to get like 9 different shipments in all these different areas for 11 units. It interrupts your buy box time. Like it doesn't always mean big quantities. Now, if let's just say it's Nike and there's a massive history plus the relationship that was needed to be built by Nike, Nike had room to leverage that, then yeah, it's probably gonna be massive quantities out the gate.
Okay.
But
so-
Amazon is worse than most sellers at forecasting inventory and staying in stock. Like, they're bad.
If on this listing, the Amazon is selling for this brand and it's sold by Amazon.com, also this brand is on the listing too.
Yeah.
How they actually split the buy
They don't. The brand is not, by the rules, is not allowed to compete with Amazon. That's like, I sold you a product and now I'm competing with you on the buy box. I sold it to you to resell on Amazon, but now I'm competing with you on the buy box. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, but what happens a lot is, let's say you're selling a brand on Amazon and Amazon approaches you to sell it, and let's just say, don't do it. But like, let's just say you want Amazon to carry your product and sell it direct. You wouldn't remove yourself from the listing, but you would back off on the price.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Clear.
Yeah, it's good because when Amazon runs out of stock, you want to have someone in stock to be able to step up and take the buy box.
Okay.
Yeah. What else do we got? Oh, really? So we'll do the usual, and then old person in the group named Gabe used to do this, used to pick on someone. I'll pick on someone. But,
Really, no questions? I have a lot of questions.
no, keep asking your question. If they ain't asking, treat it as like one-on-one time that you're getting, like to crowdsource your answers. I would totally do it. If I was you, I would nonstop.
For the wholesaling part, the question, and I went through some of the catalog. Actually, decent amount of them, they are selling on Amazon, and they do have selling histories.
You went through the PLMA catalog, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But they are not selling massive, but they do have selling history. So in this case, for us to talk to these type of white labeled brands, and let's say we want to sell your stuff too, and what's the best? Those brands are not famous, not like Nike, Adidas, nationwide, everyone knows.
Good.
And we are like, for us to step into this type of game, wholesale game with this white label brands, what's the best way to approach, and how we gonna sell it? And do we have to throw PPT under the PPC on their tab, or how we play
So,
this?
just to be clear, you're saying a white label brand. I wouldn't, I just want to be clear to make sure we're saying the same thing. So we went to PLMA, and almost everyone there, has brands that are their brands, not white label. They have brands.
Yeah, that one.
And they're also looking to white label products and do what we call private label, right? Like, they're willing to do stuff like that. But when you're talking about wholesale, you're talking about buying their brands and then reselling them on Amazon.
Yeah, under their listing.
Right. So, okay, so we're on the same page there. And then the next part you said, but they're not world famous like, Nike. That's good, because if it was the Nikes and stuff, they wouldn't sell to you and it'd be a lot more complicated. But are they selling any?
Yes, there's a history, yeah.
Well, that's the part you kind of lose me. Is there a history, meaning they sold 3 last month?
Oh.
Is there a, are you looking at a listing and it has 180 reviews, but it has 1 image and 2 bullet points, and it's like, wait a minute, this thing was just jazzed up a little bit, it would sell a lot more. Yeah, it would be sell a lot more. If it has consistent sales, I would totally add it, assuming the overall dollar amount of the stuff you can get on the catalog, like where you're at currently, I think you should do it.
But how are we gonna have them to how we sell their stuff? Like we make them sell more, because let's say we wanna promote your brand, we're not promoting their brand.
Well, hold up, you don't. It's 2 totally different conversations. If they're already selling,
Yeah,
you don't need to promote their brand. You need to ask them if you could sell their product on Amazon. Get the pricing, see that it makes sense. I mean, I'm glossing over some. Place an order. They're either shipping it directly to Amazon, or you're shipping it to a 3PL, or you're shipping it straight to Amazon, and then you're selling. So that's the bare bones of it.
yeah.
Running ads, I feel like would be like a very advanced, like if you're running ads with wholesale, have some kind of an agreement with that doesn't fit all the time. But it'd be a more advanced part of the relationship if you wanted to start adding a lot more value, which I do think you should. But don't offer to run ads if you don't know how to run ads.
Okay.
That would be a problem.
Or what about like maybe just some light PPC, like $5 a day
But why?
to give us a little advantage?
I'm not against that, but I would just push back and say why. Like, are you running $5? Are you the only one on the listing? Are you the only one reselling the product? And you're running the ads, if you spend $5 and you're making 25 back, like you just have to make sure it's making sense for you to rank this product, because they could stop selling it to you and you paid for ads to rank their product. You could wake up in the morning and there'd be another reseller on there. Not only that, but they could be selling for less than you, taking all your sales. So like there's a lot of variables there.
We found one company that they are selling, they have their stuff on Amazon. They're selling roughly 300 to 400 a month, and then they were the only ones selling that. There's no reseller, only the brand. So they opened up for wholesale opportunities, and we haven't. Chris spoke to them all on the show, but they said they're willing to open for everyone to sell their stuff. But we're consider wholesale their product, and I don't know what's the next step for us to talk to them.
I would just reach out to them and explain that.
Everyone to sell their product in Amazon, because there's a difference between I'm allowing you to resell my product outside of Amazon versus in Amazon. So be careful there.
Yeah,
right?
just that's what I would say. Can I sell your product on Amazon? That's it. I think since there's not a lot of meat on the bone, it doesn't sound like with them. I wouldn't, like normally, I think Cesar and I are very much on the same page. I don't like to go into a conversation just identifying as I'm just an Amazon seller. But I do think nowadays you really do need to get the clearance specifically that you are going to be selling this on Amazon and that you do have their blessing at some point in that conversation. It sounds like you just contact them and just say, look, I'd like to resell your product. And one of the channels I'm going to be selling on is Amazon. Is that fine? Can you send me pricing and place an order?
Okay.
Like, just don't overcomplicate it. You don't need to do much more than that. I mean, and then based on what they respond with, go from there. Yeah. You got another one? We got like a few more minutes before.
Yes. We have another brand we are interested in, and they just doesn't want us. They agree us to sell anywhere, even including Amazon. They do have their listing on Amazon too, but they don't want us to sell under their tab, their listing. They want us to create brand new listings. They will give us an authorization letter, for us to sell on Amazon, but just not on their listing. Gonna be completely different listing. They even
against the
willing
rules.
to, what?
If it's the same product, it has to be on the same product detail page. Yeah.
So if we create a bundle, they're willing to help us with the pictures too.
They're gonna give you the GS1, the pictures, they're gonna give you everything, then sure.
It's okay to go that route?
Yeah.
But just we have to create a listing though.
You understand that's it's a lot more work than this being a wholesale, right? That means listing creation, that means treating it like private label, that means running PPC to it, that means a lot more.
Yeah, but I agree with everyone, it's a lot, in case the mic didn't pick you up, it's a lot more work, it's more akin to like a private label style business than a wholesale. However, in the example like that we just gave with, say a multi-pack, if there's a 1-pack that's selling and it's doing phenomenal, and they're like, you could sell them the 2-pack, if they're willing to put those listings together into a variation to where you're now a 2-pack on a listing that has a lot of traffic with a 1-pack, that's easy sales out the gate. But if you're not picky, if you're not going to be put into a listing that already has a lot of traffic, then it's very akin to private label. You need to get it seen, you need to rank it, and then depending on how much search volume the brand has itself, it could be pretty difficult for you to get up there because now you're competing with them on ads.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Questions? Anyone have questions?
Anybody? Yeah.
Suicide, I think it's called suicide is.
Suicide?
Yeah, it's basically making a
It's
profit.
the first time that's been used in this group.
Yeah.
Suicide aces, yeah, what about
Yeah.
it?
So what are your thoughts about that? Have an ASIN that you really don't make any money in order to push the other products, which in the bundles or something.
Oh, I should know about something else, but no. There's a black hat tactic that could be described as like a suicide ASIN, but
Really? What is
no.
it?
So what you're talking about is more of just a loss leader.
Lost leader, hey.
Yeah.
I call it suicide.
Yeah, you're on some other stuff today.
What are your thoughts on that? Is that worth it, or?
I think for most brands that are starting, that a loss leader doesn't make a ton of sense, but that, well, actually for your industry and your type of product, yes. Like say you have a smaller ounce capacity in the beginning.
Yeah, like I have a 1 ounce, but I was thinking of supplements. I know the supplements is like $40 a click or something like that, but if it's which is, the same brand, a mask versus supplements.
Yeah.
For hair loss. So I was thinking about that. Is that because
I don't think you need to lose though. I think the whole idea
you
of
don't
loss
lose.
leader, right? But like you're not making a bunch.
Yeah, you're not making a bunch, but it brings the traffic for the same keyword.
Try to break even or a little bit
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
Like
So just
a lot of work.
Yeah. Wonder if that makes sense or not.
Carlos, when was the last time you've done a listing optimization meetup? And when is the last time, do you consider doing something like that recently or bringing somebody else? Because I get the feeling that I could learn a lot still
yeah, well,
when it comes to that.
right before you walked in, we were mentioning it. I'm planning a 3 or 4 person where we're pick-fooing it in real time, but to keep it flowing good, to where we're doing several listings going through at the same time, like live optimizing it, talking through as to what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds great, but what about like some sort of SOP of trying to think about all the different ways that you should pick food?
Yeah, we could do, I would build it into that, but a quick one when you're just looking at a product. Like let's say, can you guys give me just a random product? Or a type of product?
Spatula.
Pretzel.
What?
Pretzel?
Espresso?
No, espresso. Pretzel. The
Pretzel?
cookie pretzel.
Pretzels.
Pretzels, what about you?
Popcorn.
Popcorn?
Yeah, so there's like a product, I know this is a one-time ginger popcorn.
And ginger popcorn. Okay, that would be a good one. You said? I'm trying to find, I could do all of them. I'm trying to find the easiest one for time's sake.
Keratin, hair care?
Shampoo.
Oh, shampoo.
This is an easy one. So, look, and this one's a great one.
Yeah.
But like
That's
this is 300,000 bought multiple times,
they're
right?
They're big guys.
So,
Yeah, but that's not because of the listing.
it's
though.
not, but like, well, let's just look at this.
Soloplex, yeah, that's Soloplex, yeah.
That's a really good brand.
Yeah.
Sure,
Very
I've never heard of it,
expensive.
but I am not going to doubt you.
No.
But
They're in Dubai.
so again, it's different for different stuff. But
That's funny. Look at that.
what is this?
They're locally.
So the first question you're going to ask when you're getting a product is what is it? Right. So this is your internal. This is kind of your internal checklist. What is it?
The blonde hair they basically.
Right, shampoo?
Right. But what kind of shampoo? What's in it? Show, don't tell. That's the second one. Like what what is, I mean, is this, don't think organic, but like think ingredients. Think like, is this made of like pineapple? Is this like what's inside of this? Like you don't know. Does it have a scent? Does it leave you hydrated? Does it tackle X problem? Like this is just a shampoo again. This is, they're getting a lot of their sales from somewhere else, but like you don't know what it is. Show don't tell is also consistency. The consistency, if I said that right. So look, pretty popular, everybody talking about them right now, like this sudsy thing, which I'm not a huge fan of, that should totally go behind this main image. Right? So we were just, yeah. So like, so.
You said that should or should?
Should.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely it should. So first of all, what is it? You don't know. Show don't tell, that's gonna be, what's the ingredients? What does this thing look like that's inside of it? Next thing you wanna do is size it up, just psychologically. Somebody looks at a product like this, and if they look at another one that's taking up more of this dead pixel space, you just psychologically, you think you're getting more. So just size it up, take up more space. The other one, where is it made? Now, this is an important one if it's super relevant for the product. So if it's let's say it's a piece of equipment, like top of the line equipment, everyone just says, and I feel like my experience has also said this, would be made in Germany. That just means like precision engineering, like you get it, right? If for a product that is a consumable or a topical or anything like that, made in the USA carries a lot of weight, but next would be stuff like France, a country that's really going strong with beauty products is Korea. So like, if it's made in, I don't want to pick on a country, but let's say it's made in, I don't know, just think of some random country that, Liberia, we're talking about Liberia. This is made in Liberia. And you put the Liberian flag, first of all, most people wouldn't know what that flag was they're looking at, especially in the US. And it's not really associated. It's like, well, I don't think of Liberia and think of the best quality shampoo that there is. So like, those are just some easy ones that you could apply to any product to level it up, those 5 steps. But we'll do a meetup and go through the product. Yeah, but show don't tell for yours is what we talked about yesterday. It's like show what's inside. In this case, we're just talking about a shampoo, but show the suds. In your case, show what's inside. Yeah. All right. Timing's perfect. So look, we're gonna do this for those of you that weren't here in the beginning. Normally we go straight into the topic of the week. We're gonna take out like 5 minutes right now, and one of our sponsors is gonna be presenting. I'm gonna be passing out some printouts, some paper, so everybody has this while she's presenting, so we don't waste any time with this. And then afterwards, we'll transition into the topic of the week. Okay? Sound good? Right. You can just you don't have to hold it up, but if you can, just hold it, because the clip mic's not doing the best right now, and then I'll pass this out.
Do I sit?
You can sit or stand, do whatever you prefer. And the camera looks right at you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let me know when you're ready, and I'll get everybody.
Everybody has to play. Whatever. Just go out. Yeah, you have to copy. The people, the product I have, like, I give to haircuts, and you follow prices, it's almost the same thing, but they can do that. I mean, I charge, it costs me $7 for that. No. Shampoo, one, number 3, number 4, number 5, they have one now, shampoo, the conditioner, they have remove.
All right, guys, let's do it. Hey, remember this
meetup group's been around for 10 years. Broke 1,500 meetup events. There is zero chance that my wife would let me do this. If it goes up to my wife, everybody would be paying $100 to come to each event, right? But to keep it free and not come out of pocket for overhead, we've been able to strategically partner with some really cool sponsors. This is one of our sponsors. So if we can just give her a little bit about iBundle, really cool shipping stuff that going on. I spoke to, I say your counterpart in the UK. Would that be fair?
Yes.
Our counterpart in the UK for a podcast that should be coming out like in the next, I would say, mid next week, which I think was really good. An exciting podcast about shipping, which to be fair is a super important topic, but it's a dense topic. So he made, I think he did a great job on the podcast of keeping it really interesting. So just give us like 5 minutes to talk about this. It may help something in your business. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Carlos. Yeah, as Carlos already mentioned, we from iBundle, so I know Carlos for over 10 years, so I can actually witness that the community is at least 10 years old, and it's amazing to see how many people are part of it and where it has gone. So thank you. And thank you for giving me the opportunity. And so the reason why, being a sponsor, I always say, why do we want this? So I feel your product can be phenomenal, your marketing can be great and effective, but there is a very important part which at the end of the day makes up if you have a satisfied customer or not, is the delivery experience. So do you get it on time? Do you get it in a good condition? And then if you're getting involved in cross-border shipping, it actually also accounts for the entire duty and tax calculation. Do I actually need to pay something extra to get it? Here in the US, obviously, for us, it's not really an issue because the threshold here is $800. But as soon as you try to expand your market, reach new clients, you always have to think about those topics. How can I make it easy for my client, and how can I create the best possible experience when it comes to the delivery process? So this little, I call it a cheat sheet. I don't want to take up too much time, but basically what we are is, and I always say it, we try with the help of, or we are with the help of technology, we are trying to look at domestic and international shipping and make it as easy and as seamless as possible. So if you are shipping and you are interested in looking at ways to improve your transportation, may it be from a cost side, from a transit perspective side, or maybe just a new market, or you just want to have a comparison, I invite you to get in contact with us. So the way it is, we have really cool features. So we, apart from the part of the technology is a dashboard, is the ability to actually via this, we call it a shipping platform, to pick your own routings or create routings with the help of partner vendors and logistics partners. We do work internationally. From a connector perspective, I know not every one of you is selling on Amazon. From what I heard, there's a couple people also on other platforms. We have over 50 different connectors available. So it's not just focused on Amazon, but any type of shopping cart, marketplace, or ERP solution you use to reach your client from a sales perspective, or how you manage your logistics. So, and I don't really want to take up too much time. It also does include the return management. So you see here the last point. It's a functionality part of the tool and part of the dashboard, which would also allow you to offer to your clients an option of easy returns. Globally reached from us as the company, We have warehouses in 5 continents. I'm representing here the US market. We have warehouses in Europe. In the US, we are representative in New York and LA and Chicago and here in Miami. And in Europe, it is Germany, the UK, and I think we have also an office in France. And then obviously it's in Asia, Hong Kong, China, and the founders are based in Israel. From a trade lane perspective, if any of those markets might be interested for you to look at to expanding, so our trade lanes are focused on US, EU, Israel, US, Hong Kong, US, UK, EU, and the UK and the US. So normally, from my experience, if you're servicing the US market and you want to expand into another market, you normally take a market which has the same language than yours. So you will either look like at Canada. I've worked with a lot of clients who's tried Canada or the UK, some of them even looking at Australia and New Zealand. But again, any of those ideas coming to your mind, please feel free of just an exploratory call. We are here. We would love to work with you. And the last thing is, so the owners, I said, they're from Israel, and they have very tight relationships actually with communities like yours in Israel, and they're doing quite a lot with individual sellers from that community. And if you have any questions right now, or maybe later on, I'm trying to stay here also after the session. If you just want in a bilateral conversation, ask some questions or get some ideas.
Do you know any Israeli black hat taxes?
I'm sorry? No, I am not from Israel, so, and actually I've never been there, so.
just to understand, freight forwarding services, bulk container loads, LTL, also 3PL services, also direct-to-consumer services?
Yeah, so the focus here is B2C, but it does
B2C.
include B2B. So as from a basically we are a tech company. We're a tech startup, and the way we work is it's like a multi-carrier platform. It's like an IT solution. So if you are a seller, and let's say you sell on Amazon and you have your own website and you're using Shopify to build your shopping cart, you can immediately connect to it and can create, we call it bundle, that's why the word iBundle is coming from, and can immediately build your routing, select the carriers you want to use, and then print your labels.
And what ERPs are you guys connected with?
I'm sorry?
What ERPs are you guys connected with?
I don't want to tell you something wrong. Give me your email and I will provide you the information. Because there were some changes recently, and I don't want to say something which is not true, so. Okay, yeah. So the way we work is we work with partners, obviously. We're an IT company, and our partner has at 5 locations in the US.
You're also in Telegram, if anybody wants to ask a
Oh, yeah.
question, keep the conversation going.
And actually, thank you, Carlos, for reminding me. So my counterpart, Kevin, who had also the podcast with Carlos, him and me together, we have launched a couple 1-2 minute videos where we're discussing topics which might be relevant for somebody interested in shipping. So that might be something to look at as well. But again, you also find my email here at mary@ibundle.net, or even Kevin's email at kevin@ibundle.net, or just in general our support email, and somebody will be getting in contact.
Thank you. Great. Thank you. And thank you so much for that. One thing's for sure, if you get the shipping wrong in your business, that is kind of it. All right, I'm gonna be talking a lot of just like, you know me, I don't do slides, but a lot of what I'm gonna be talking and sharing about is just what I do, experiences from sourcing products from the US, and and stuff like that. But I'm also gonna be just pulling some visuals up on the screen. So I might need to just connect this again really quick, and we're gonna roll. So just give me a second. Oh, actually, it's here. Share screen.
That's it. See some videos.
All right. So since I mentioned it at the beginning of the beginner hour, and there's a lot of other people here, we're going to be talking about sourcing products from the U.S. And the reason I came up with this is normally when we'd go to a conference or a trade show, we would do a pre-event. We go as a group. We'd do a pre-event, how to prepare and get ready. We'd meet on the ground, which we did a lot of that in PLMA, which was more like the bar in the main area. And then post, that weekend we wouldn't have a meetup. We'd be like, we were away from family, we're back. And then the following week we would do a post. So we decided not to skip the off one since it's so close to the end of the year. And I also didn't want anyone that didn't go to PLMA feel like this meetup's not for them. So I'm gonna be covering things in this event that is applicable whether you went to PLMA or not, but there is gonna be a lot of PLMA examples. I'd say about midway through, I'm gonna show you two products that I found at PLMA that they were just stupid easy. Things with like 40-cent click-through rate, 40 cents per click ads to rank. It's just ridiculously easy to find, and that had a nice amount in sales. And a nice amount in sales is relative for everyone, but I like to say I'm still grounded enough that I'm interested. If something's only gonna take a few hours to get rolling and it can pay the mortgage passively, I'll add it, what the heck, right? So like, it brings in a nice little something and lets you get into a cool category. So I'm gonna show you some of those, and you're welcome to take them and use them for yourself. Just obviously understand if I'm showing that, there might be 20 other people doing the same thing, and that could be problematic, but you decide what you wanna do. So I'll throw some of that in there. The first thing though, and I made notes here so I don't go all over the place, but the first thing though, before we get into the product, before we get into some of the other strategies, just one of the questions I get a lot for finding products in the USA is, where do I go to get them? We know that if we want to look for products, and I'm talking about non-supplements, it's very easy to find a lab that has supplements. Finding a good lab, not so easy, but you can find some of that stuff. I'm talking about more like hard goods, CPG products, food, all that kind of encompasses stuff you can source from the USA. There are some products that just by far the best place that you can get these things are from China. So this is by no means an anti-sourcing from China topic. The vast majority of the products that I've ever sold came from China. I have a lot of friends in China, and we have several events coming up about sourcing products from China, right? This is just another alternative. Like if you need, you can't afford to tie your capital up for a much longer run ordering something from China and then 30 days on the water and all this stuff here. Like if you're not in that spot right now, or the product you want is just like, that is the place to go. China, if that's not your thing and you're more product agnostic, then this is, you're gonna get a lot out of this, okay? By the way, I opened the door, I don't know if you saw when you came in. Yeah. All right. PLMA we'll get to, and PLMA, for anyone that wondering why I keep throwing acronyms around, is Private Label Manufacturers Association. It is by far the best place to go if you're product agnostic to find a private label product to sell. It is easy to find. It's in warm November Chicago. It is has low MOQs, primarily US based, short lead times. It's just very quick turnaround for these products. It is primarily food, which is a turnoff for some people. I think that's a mistake that is a turnoff for most people. The cost per click, or your advertising and ranking, the cost of everything is going up, and selling a knee brace that someone will never buy from you again is a pretty dangerous spot to be in if Amazon is your business, versus a consumable that has a subscribe and save element to it. So food is amazing. The risk most people think of with food is they imagine a chef's hat in their kitchen making something and putting it in a Ziploc bag and putting a label and shipping it. That is dangerous, I think illegal, and yes, you should be worried about that, but you're not gonna do that. You're gonna work with factories like you would see at private, or suppliers. I think when you call them factories, it gets a little confusing. That's what they are at the end of the day, factories that say based in the US, who have several successful brands under their belt that are probably sold in traditional brick and mortar stores across the US or the world. And when their machines are not running, they like to keep them running, and they're willing to sell to our black hat friends back there for a new private label product that they'd want to launch. Not you, Ramon. The other one behind you, it's just in your direction. Don't get guilty. And that makes all the sense in the world. You get to take advantage of the fact that they have all the certifications, all the FDA stuff, everything you possibly need that you don't have in your kitchen, they have. And you also get to take advantage of the fact that you know they make great stuff because their stuff's selling everywhere. The wholesale component comes in because usually those brands that they're selling and they're doing great in traditional brick and mortar retail stores on, they're not on Amazon. As a matter of fact, they probably don't like the fact that their products are on Amazon, but they're selling despite themselves, which is a sign of a decent product. So you going up to them and just, you could just go straight in with the wholesale, but leaning into, hey, I'm kind of interested in private labeling something with you and you making something for our brand, and you're about to spend money with them, or you do spend money with them for that, it becomes a much easier conversation to say, hey, can I also buy this other thing from you that you sell, and can I resell it on Amazon? Like that's the angle there, okay? All right, so we will get, that's not even a lot into PLMA, but we will get into it. There's two other places that are great for sourcing products from the United States. One of them is ThomasNet. It's been around, I don't know if it's been around longer than Alibaba, but it's been around, it feels like, just as much or longer. But it's ThomasNet, I believe it's thomasnet.net, but it might be thomasnet.com, but it's ThomasNet. Just look up ThomasNet. It's thomasnet.net, right? Yeah. Thomasnet.net is great, but it's not my favorite one. The PLMA site is also not my favorite one. The show is, and the catalog is. One of my favorite, is he all right? Who was it? It's okay. He can make all the noise he wants. No, he's good. I just want to make sure he's okay. No, but he could yell. He can do whatever he wants. He can go in the conference room if he wants to, or whatever. He's good. I plan on bringing my son and daughter, hopefully beginning part of next year, to start coming in for the meetup. So I'm sympathetic.
Have a playroom over there.
Yeah, the conference room might be like a playroom, right?
Yeah.
Like, God. All right. My favorite spot for finding suppliers in the U.S. is actually one called Maker's Row. Maker's Row. I'll pull it up, actually. I opened it up. So here's ThomasNet, for those of you that don't know. Yeah, it's thomasnet.net. And then Maker's Row. This one's my favorite. I think the reason why most people don't deal with Maker's Row is because you pay a subscription to be able to get access to different things. I'll pull that up just so nobody freaks out. It's not that expensive for what you can get, because you can get so much here at $3.99. But
What is Maker's Row?
well, that's a great question. What is it? So you can get, with Maker's Row, you can find brands that do private label in the US in different categories. You can find any factories out there that can make your stuff that's in the US. You can find, like let's say you're dealing with something in the US and you need to get something engineered, or you need a recipe, or you need something tweaked, or you need a food scientist, or you need anything like that. Not just food, just think any product. You can get it on Maker's Row. Great spot for packaging if you don't want to go the China route and still get some affordable packaging and work with some cool people. Also, it has an amazing educational thing for anyone that just feels like, you know what, I feel like there's so much more to learn when it comes to working with factories in the US. Like, their built-in education is phenomenal. All right? And yeah, but you get a lot. So my favorite spot, I would say, if I had to pick one just from a computer, it would be Maker's Row above all of them. The next one we touched on is private label. This is my best. I thought that was you out there. I was here and I was like, is that Carmen? I thought it was you. No, I'm just kidding. This one, if you get access to the catalog and you have ChatGPT 4, which maybe we'll do that later, this catalog is everything. Years ago, the wording to get, this is like a 500, what was it this year? How much was it this year to get in? It was $4.99 or $5.99? $5.99?
Second.
Yeah, okay. So over the years, it's been like $400 to $600 to get in, which means the people, when you're talking to people there, they know you paid a little something to get in, and that really just changes the dynamic of everything in the show. But it used to be, they say it's free to come, but you have to buy a catalog. So catalog was kind of the admission, and they just charged $400 for the catalog. So it's always had like a $400 to $600 ticket. The catalog is everything. It's dense. Did anybody bring their catalog by chance? No? Okay. So it's dense. This year, I think it was like 1,600 something just suppliers that were there. Just some mental number. And, it says it right here, 1,800 exhibiting companies, 60 countries, 3,000 booths, 52 national pavilions, just a lot. So, there it is. Like, you can get an idea. It's packed, right? So it was very difficult. It was very difficult to get it and make it actionable. Like, do something with it after the fact. You just knew there was a lot of gold in there, but you just said, man, one of these days when I get like a week or two with nothing to do, I'm going to be able to actually make sense of this. And then I was going to joke and say God introduced ChatGPT, but whatever. ChatGPT exists. Now what you do is, and we're going to do that for this catalog, hopefully within the next 2 weeks. But last year's I already did. And we scanned it in a very effective way to where we can now upload it as a PDF to ChatGPT, and now you can just ask it any questions. Like, here, I'll show you one now so you get the idea. Because some of you are looking at me like, what? So.
Go to the one on your website. Don't go to on Facebook. The Facebook one doesn't work.
Which one?
The one from Facebook.
One on Facebook.
Yeah, initially I said it didn't work. It was from the Facebook.
Ah,
Yeah.
so you get the catalog, or you could get our app, which is free, the Wizards of Ecom app, wherever you download apps, and in the bottom right corner, there's something that says files, and then you could get this file, right? But I'll just get it. Huh?
Last year's.
Last year's, which there's a big overlap between the years. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna put the X one up as soon as I can get a volunteer to scan that big. Ramon?
Oh, no.
By the way, he saved us on the printing because my printer busted last night, so I leaned on him. Yeah. Maybe he gets hooked up in some shipping. He's very difficult to work with, but
I like that.
yeah, he is very difficult to work with. Yeah. He's the godfather of my son too, which I don't know what I was thinking.
Neither do I.
So taking a second, here we go, upload it, then you guys get to see how elementary my prompts are. But here we go. Obviously you start this with please, please. You guys are sharing all these different products that you're trying to source, so I have to think for a second. So I don't use a product that I know somebody's sourcing. But let me say, please, here, I'll do this one because I'm going to talk about this one in a bit. So please give me a list of suppliers who sell oat groats. Please give their business name, website, and choose the ones closest to Florida. Not that it matters. Huh? Which, pretty please.
Skynet, don't come after me.
Right? Watch, this will be the only time that it doesn't work ever. Like ChatGPT will break on this one. So look at this. That is freaking amazing. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing, right? So I don't know. I could have said put phone numbers too. I think I don't know, but I don't.
Put add phone numbers.
Yeah, let's see. I don't know if the phone numbers are in the catalog, but
Add contact.
add
No, you can.
contact info,
You could also just click the little web thing.
please. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. No excuses. Right? So the catalog, for the first time we put it up, the first time that we put it up that actually ChatGPT was around and we did this, There's no excuses. You just have full-blown conversations with this catalog now. Keep in mind, if you're asking for blenders and other primarily, like I would call China first products, that's not what this is for. But if you're looking for something that's in the consumable, non-supplement, even though close supplement in some areas I think falls under supplement, if you're looking for like any of that, just ask and say please. Okay, so
You know, it'd be interesting to use a software like Smart Scout to just narrow down on a particular set of products.
totally could.
And then just go into there and,
Totally could.
because Smart Scout is great for that. Is there any software similar to Smart Scout that can do that?
Jungle Scout, Smart Scout.
Jungle
yeah,
Scout does it too?
Totally.
You can do it also with Keepa, but it's
Yeah. Okay, so I have a bunch of products that I came across that I like, some tips and everything, but we're gonna put a little pin in that for a second because I want to take a step back. Remember, this is not just PLMA, and some notes I have here. So one of the other, like, so I showed you 3 places where you could get products in the U.S. Like that's easy. Anybody can access them. 2 of them are free. The PLMA one obviously is free to you because you can get access to the catalog that we give away in the app, and the app is free. And use ChatGPT. So
charge.
I should charge, right?
Yeah, man, you're paying for $600 for that.
Been hanging out with my
catalog.
wife, huh? You hanging out with my wife, or you've been hanging out with Tom after a webinar he saw it? He's like, they're selling catalogs. He's like building a paywall and everything, right? No, it's free.
Can you put back for a moment the posting?
Yeah,
Oh, it's .com, not .net.
yeah. Thomasnet.net.
No, .com.
Oh, it is. Okay. I think I always get confused because it has a net
Right.
in the name, and then I'm wondering, yeah. Okay. But you have 3. There's no reason why you can't find products in the U.S. Like, leverage what you know on Amazon and the types of stuff you're looking at. On those 3, you're going to find them. So no excuses. The next thing that comes up, though, or does anybody doubt? Do we have to do some live sourcing or something, or just exploring? Okay. The next thing is communicating with these suppliers and kind of like setting expectations as to what, or like what you can expect working with suppliers in the U.S. or factories in the U.S. versus overseas. And I'm just going to call China so I don't have to name every country. But China's kind of spoiled us.
Yep.
Okay? And pretty much spoiled the whole world, but especially spoiled, you know, US-based Amazon private label sellers. And that is, we go and find something super easy on a powerful spot like Alibaba, like within a few clicks, right? And Alibaba is significantly easier to navigate than a lot of these, right? Maybe with the exception of the PLMA catalog and ChatGPT, because that's kind of like cheating. But once you order from them, you want to order it, you just assume that you know the packaging. They have that. They know what kind of packaging fits. They probably have the Adobe Illustrator dies that you can give to your creative person. They know where your GS1 barcode should show up. All that's done. The master box, how many come per carton, everything is done. They either do it in-house or somebody across the street does it. All you do is you get a quote, get a sample, hopefully, place an order, and that's it. That is not how it works when you remove Alibaba and China from the equation. For the most part, you're going to get a lot of these different things from different people. You're going to get your packaging somewhere. You're going to get your product or your materials or your food, in this case, from another person. Everything's going to be different. And the components of your product may not all come from that person. The food, it's a little different. Usually it comes from the same spot. But it's all different people. It's all different people that you need to put together. They're probably used to working together, but they're all different people that you need to put together and say, hey, we got this project going on. There's a big project management component to this when you're working outside of China. Okay?
I mean, we're talking about factory, 3PL, and packaging, right? 3 things. What do you mean?
No, well, one of the things I'm going to share in a bit is how I think it's gotten a lot easier this year, but you could be looking at the factory. You could be looking at someone who puts your raw goods, let's just use a co-packer for...
Right, I mean co-packer, not 3PL.
No, but you also have the 3PL in there. The co-packers don't usually act as a 3PL.
They don't hold.
Normally, no. I mean, it seems like people are adding services. No, but you're working with someone, and you get I'll just say a barrel of raw goods, we're gonna stick with food for this example, and they're gonna send it to a co-packer, and the co-packer's gonna put it in the packaging, and they're shipping.
Yeah.
Right, and we know how generous Amazon is with space, with their
Right.
FBA center, so like, you may not be sending it all there.
Yeah,
or
if
maybe
they
you
don't
shouldn't
hold
be
it, you need a
sending
3PL for
So
sure.
you might be sending it to a 3PL. And yeah, so it can be all that. Some of them offer 2 of them in-house, and I find that when someone does that, they're usually not the best at one of them. It's kind of like a designer that I've worked with forever, right? It's the designer that I've worked with forever for packaging. My God, this guy's the GOAT, right? But he figures everyone that comes to work with him, they probably need a website, and they probably need a logo, and they probably need a this, they probably need a that. So you add things as line items. Agencies do it. Everyone does it. It's kind of like, let's pick up this thing. I'm not horrible at it, but you're not the best at it. Like an agency that has a line item there that we can design something is not as good as a creative design agency. You know what I mean? So when some of these other services get together and you get a supplier who's saying we can also co-pack or we can also 3PL for you, they're probably overpriced in one and not very good in one. Like they have one core competency, and figure out what that is. It's probably the supply. Any questions so far? Really? Yeah.
Is there such a scenario where you would use a private labeler, what they have, but you want to add in like 2 more ingredients?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
then you have to, you being me, have to source, that's what you're talking about, right? Source the other vendors for those ingredients.
Yeah, yes, that's possible. If you're talking about, like one of the most popular products from everybody that's come back from PLMA was stuff in the spices, flour, that kind of spot. If you're talking to someone, and you're talking to someone who does spices, they probably have those spices or know best where to get those spices. I think it's gonna be more of a thing if you're talking about you use Thomas Net and you found someone that can make a French press. And against all odds, you find out how to make this French press in the US. What you want the handle to be of wood, and they do plastic and metal. That's not necessarily an ingredient, but it's a different component, it's a different material. You may need to go source that. You will need to go source someone that can make that in wood and then put them together because they need to be compatible when they come together. Like that's it. So it can add a lot of complexity.
That's the project management.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then who's accountable for what? Because one's going to blame the other one. It gets bad.
Yeah, and in the case of the beauty, if you add a component to the formula, you need to talk with the private label because they're gonna do a special batch for you. They need to create the line to do that,
Right.
so they're gonna order a minimum quantity for your product, so consideration.
I was talking, yeah, that, but specifically ethnic food, where, I would source the private labeler and then have to source specific ethnic ingredients. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, they'll probably know where to get it. If not, but yeah, you could be looking at getting somebody else and putting them together. And that is something you really almost never have to deal with in China.
But what I found is that when you try to add on a lot of different things to a factory, they tend to just overcharge you.
Yeah.
They overcharge you.
Yeah.
Even in China, like you could get a factory to do the raw product for you, and then they just overcharge you for the packaging. So you're probably gonna get a better price finding your own packaging, having it shipped to the factory, than having them do it themselves. Now it's easier to let the factory do everything, but you pay more, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Okay, so you have different platforms that you can use to find products that you can source from the U.S. You understand that it's not a one-stop shop, that you might be looking for several other things. And I think this is important because I've seen people find someone that can supply what they want and say, no way. They told me I can only buy this thing in a barrel or in a sack. What am I going to do with that? Like, I can't hold that in my warehouse. And they don't understand that there's other components in play. And it's important when you find them, the same way it's important that when you see the quote that's displayed on a website for something selling in China,
that there's other costs that are gonna be involved when you're trying to determine your profit margin, like the shipping. So in this case, you need to add in your co-packer, your 3PL, and your packaging and all that to really determine if this product has enough meat on the bone with profitability for you to pursue it. Once you've done that, though, you'd be surprised how many people get stuck here. You got to reach out. Since we just came back from a trade show, I've had a lot of messages with you guys that did go. I messaged everyone that I planned on following up with for my product before getting on the plane that night. Right, so like that was done. It was almost immediate. A lot of tips you can do with that. One, I still find that taking a photo of you at the booth or you with them is an important one, so that they can put a face, or both of you can put a face to who the supplier is, and attach it in the email. I do think that's a good one to do. Don't worry if you didn't do it. It doesn't mean you're not going to do business with them. It's just a nice little touch. I do find that when you're trying to get, especially with trade shows and conferences, if you're talking to a booth and you want to get something with them on the calendar as soon as possible, one of the worst things to do is have a back and forth in emails as far as times you can possibly talk to each other. You can use Calendly or a few other ones that will give you a free booking link. It looks extremely professional, and it saves you countless emails back and forth, or them putting off the emails. They're like, I don't know, East Coast, PST. You can get a free link to connect to your calendar that will allow them to book. I recommend when you stick it out there, though, to say something along the lines of, here's a link so you can grab a date and time that is convenient for you to speak. And if you would prefer to send me yours, because remember, you're working with a company, their calendar link is probably tied into their CRM, and they need to get it all hooked up into their system. But if you prefer to send me yours, please go ahead and do that.
What's the name of the website?
There's a bunch out there, but I think Calendly still has a free one. But it'll be Calendly. Along the lines of just looking professional and doing the booking link, and it just makes things a lot smoother, is your email and your business name.
Google Calendar has the same features.
Yeah.
As Calendar?
Yes, it does. That's right.
You can use that.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah. The email you use, important. Not the time to use hotmail.com. Not the time to use christurbo6@hotmail.com. You know what I mean? Like, no. If you can, use a domain professional email. If not, next would be Gmail, but try to have a domain email. Try to have that set up before you go to the actual trade show. The other one is mention your business. If you are a solopreneur, talk about we, talk about us, and what we think. It helps. How quickly you follow up is important for these shows. But just because you sent the email doesn't mean you should just like, I sent the email, that's it. I never heard back, they suck. You gotta follow up. Some of them spend several days more at the place where they did the show, and they're just not back yet. And when they do get back, guess what? If they're not the owners of the company, they probably have a couple days off because they were away from their family. So sometimes it can be a week or two before they're actually back in the flow to be able to respond back to you. You don't wanna have, if 10 days go by, you don't want to have 10 emails from you in the inbox, but you could have more than one. There could be like a bumping this in your inbox. You could be advancing the conversation, to expedite things until I heard back from you. I went ahead and looked up and then insert something else and ask them a question. It allows you to get the conversational thread picked right back up, okay?
10 days.
I just threw 10 days out there. I've seen a month, which is just bad. But what I'm saying is just don't give up on it, like follow up. At a certain point, if it's a month and they're taking a week to respond, I have to start wondering, like, how long is it gonna take for you to manufacture my stuff? Like, are you gonna, right?
Yeah.
But I have found 7 to 10 days to be quite common. Yeah.
So you get that ChatGPT output, you message everybody.
So I used to use templates, and if writing's not your thing.
No, but not email goes out the window, but like you call everybody.
You could call back. I start with email.
You start with email?
Yeah, I would start with email. I'd probably do 2 or 3 emails before I started going to calls. Yeah.
And I wouldn't go to calls for the first 7 to 10 days personally, right?
Why?
Well, usually they're not leaving the day you break down. Like the day you left the show, they're usually not heading right back. And they usually take several days off after that. A lot of these companies, when they come back, they have a meeting with their team. And it's usually about a week.
Right, but you're talking about people that went to PLMA, they talked to somebody, and they contacted them the day after, as opposed to people here in this meetup right now, that they're gonna follow the strategy that you're talking about, finding suppliers and emailing them or calling them now.
So I'm not sure if we're saying the same thing. I'm saying to reach out to the supplier ASAP. Yeah, immediately. I reached out to mine before getting on the plane back, and I left the same day of the last day of the show. What I'm saying is that I would use email for at least 2 or 3 emails over the course of a week to 10 days before moving to me calling them, right? That's just what I've done. If you prefer, call right then. I don't think there's anything wrong with taking them out to eat that day. So just do whatever works for you. I'm just sharing what I've done, and it's worked great. But yeah, whatever works for you. Also feel for how did the conversation go? Was it more random, or did you guys have a long talk? Was there any connection going on? I think a lot of that matters. All right, one that I've used with suppliers if I feel like they're overwhelmed with a lot of other people and I want them to give me a little more attention and advance this. It seems counterintuitive. I learned it from a mentor I've had many years back, is send them an NDA. It shocked me how much this helped. An NDA is a non-disclosure agreement. It's about as useful as toilet paper for most people. If your word's not good, it's not good. But I send it, and what happened is a lot of the more serious companies that they're hearing from, that's what they do. So it's almost like I have these 50 people, and these biggest companies that I'm working with, they're sending over an NDA because they want to talk about their project. It usually means that you put a lot more thought into the project, and they're going to take you a little more serious. The assumption is that you're going to place a larger order. Ever since I've done that, it's been night and day. It seems counterintuitive, like, oh, give me an NDA, you're going to be difficult to work with, I'm out. But it's almost like when you're working with a factory in China and you're like, we're going to be doing an inspection. We do a pre-shipment inspection, we're going to do a factory audit, all that there. They're like, wow, the average person has no idea what they're doing here, they don't do inspections. So it's not a turn-off. On the contrary, they see you in a different light. All right, any questions on that so far before we start getting into a little more of the product and get the conversation going that way? Anybody that did go to PLMA that wants to share some finds or some takeaways, feel free.
I do notice that the same day whenever Chris was for the show, I already received a few emails from the companies. For those type of business, we usually I feel like they're dying for business.
Yeah.
The first, once you have a business card, you think that right away get connected. But some of them were emailed the day after, they haven't heard back from them yet. But those type, and I feel like they might don't care, or your email just synced it to the bottom. It happens too. And unless you call and they pull, oh yeah, I see your email.
So you're saying the people that respond the same day that you went by their booth, that seems like it smacks of a little bit of desperation.
Yeah.
Right. Versus somebody that responds 2 or 3 days later. Yeah, I think the human side of me would get to that, but for me it would depend a lot on, you go by a lot of booths, they saw a lot of people, and everyone's not going to be a good fit. But for somebody at a booth that is being asked all the right questions, and you're kind of like their dream customer, and you've shared stuff about you, acting on it immediately, I think that makes sense. You guys click, like both of you. Tom's really good at talking to somebody, and Tom's gone to somebody's college when he was in Ethiopia or something. Like the last 3 taxi drivers from Ethiopia, they kind of grew up in the same village or whatever that's called. It's like, how does that happen? You know what I mean? But he'll go somewhere and somebody will be like, oh, I'm from such and such. He kind of knows like the college in that place. Like he just knows, whether it's through baseball or whatever. Like, oh, so and so, I've seen you do it, right? And yeah, it's a great way, like something we have in common. Like that's a pretty powerful thing to do. Get it right though. Don't say the wrong school, I would say. But like if that happened and there's a connection there, I think that makes, I wouldn't necessarily assume desperation. Probably the guy's like, that's the guy that went to my school, and you're staying connected. So it depends. But if the person is desperate to do business with you, that's also not horrible. Like you also do want to do business with them. Like and the sooner the better, right? The sooner you can validate them or rule them out, the better. Yeah, so, but yeah, I initially think that as well when somebody like reaches out within an hour. Also, if they send me something that is obviously a template, thank you for passing by our booth, I really enjoyed our conversation, hit send, I'm like, oh, this person's just trying to get ahead of their work, so when they go back to work, they probably can't take leave until they, I don't know, my ass is not gonna be that good. Okay. All right, here are a few of my takeaways from this last one that we went to in PLMA so that you could, take this into account when you're looking at the catalog or just when you're sourcing products or you're thinking about sourcing products here in the USA. So one huge trend that I saw at PLMA this year is, versus other years, I'm just calling it like a consolidation. So last year and on, and before, people were staying a lot more in their lane. A lot of what I described, like you have your supplier, your 3PL, your co-packer, these were all very separate. It was a bit of a headache too. But this year, I'm gonna say most of the people I spoke to offered more of those services under one roof. So most of them said, no, we also do the packaging, we also package it for you. We're a one-stop solution. A lot of that. So a lot of them are bringing these things in-house. I don't know if they acquired another company that was really good at that and they're kind of coming together, or if they just added it and this is their first year of running a co-packing facility or a 3PL. But I would, and Chris and I, we talked about this a bunch, walking some of the halls, but I think that's a really good thing that it's heading in that direction. It just make it easier for us, but until, I would take it with a grain of salt. If you're talking with a supplier as of right now, this is a big shift from last year. If you're talking with a supplier now from the US, and they're obviously a supplier, they make your product, they deal with metal, they deal with ceramic, they deal with food, whatever that is, that ingredient, and they're also selling you on this other service that they have, any of those other ones, the co-packing, the 3PL, the packaging, I'd price that separately. Get them to split those things up and get the pricing separately, because there's a lot of amazing people. If the difference is a few cents more and they're like, yeah, they're charging a little bit more because they have a 3PL inside of what they do, yeah, of course they're gonna charge a little more. It's convenience. But if it's significantly more, you're not loading this stuff up on your back and carrying it to another you can throw a rock at a 3PL. Like, just say, no problem, I want to get this from here and we're going to ship it there. If anything, it's going to give you leverage because they want to keep the business. They're obviously set up for it. They're like, oh, we'll honor that pricing. So like, don't just accept it because they offer it. All right, figure out what their superpower, like if they're a co-packer and now they've just decided that they make sauce, maybe use them for the co-packing stuff, have them price that separately, but then price out the sauce and then go look for suppliers that just do sauce, whatever that thing is. But price it out separately. I'd be very careful with that. I'm gonna say the majority of the booths I spoke to offered everything under one roof. So that was a huge trend. And by the way,
what do you think that is?
I think it's business. Like, I mean, if you want to?
Yeah, what I would think is, I don't think they acquired, they probably partnered with companies.
Maybe.
And so for them, it's additional business. They just add 10%, 20% margin on top of it and sell it to you. And for you, it's probably worthwhile too, because you trust this. You have to pay one person a bill and not pay 7 different companies and have to manage those 7 different companies.
Yeah, I would agree. And repeating it for the stream is, they're probably marking it up. They could be partnering. They might not be acquiring. They might have just decided to start it in-house. But it could be any of those. And I would pay more for that convenience.
Of course.
But there is a limit. Right. So I'm just saying for anybody that's unaware, I mean, you kind of first have to know that for the most part in the US it's not all under one roof. And now when you are seeing it under roof, I just want you to be aware, like price it out. Like make sure you know what's going on, because later on if you don't, and you need to get a little more profitable, you don't even know where to cut. Right? So that's all. I just caution there. Any questions on that? No? All right. This is another one. With the group, especially that went, not calling names of anybody there,
And just looking at some of the other people that I've seen that weren't from the Ecom group, but I know them and they're in the Ecom space, and we sat there and, you know, I heard them talk to a booth. Most of you didn't differentiate or didn't go that differentiation route, and you can do that with food. So an example would be, I'll use I think it's the first one I have loaded up here, but let me see. Yeah, I'll use this. It's a really easy one, and I'll get into it for a second. I showed it in a past meetup event, but these are I hope I'm saying it right, but the Sacha Inchi. Very, very easy product to sell. It's a nut. I didn't even know what it was. But
What is it?
What is it?
seems to be a type of nut that is high protein, very low carbs. Yeah, I ordered some. I have them at the house, but haven't tried them. But they would go to a booth and they'd say, "Oh, they have those. Let's buy that." Instead of thinking like, how can we differentiate this? Now, food, you have to tweak the way you approach differentiation when you talk about food, right? Because you don't make them green, right? An easy one here would have been, rather than 6 people in the group all attacking the Sacha Inchi nuts because they saw me say it in a meetup group, maybe a wasabi flavored, maybe spicy, right? You can always play with some of the ingredients on top of something else to make it slightly different. And I noticed nobody was really doing that.
Doesn't that affect keyword search? Clearly.
Sure, yeah. It
Right.
can, yeah. You still have your root keywords, and you also want to, I mean, I wouldn't go pumpkin spice Sacha Inchi nuts, right? But, I mean, anything in the coffee or chocolate space, shockingly, I'm not a pumpkin spice person, but like, it seems like you put pumpkin spice on freaking anything, the
It
creamer,
sounds to me
then.
not going against your word, but it sounds to me like product number 2, product number 3, you bring it in the Sacha Inchi first,
Well,
make sure it works, then you add the variations.
Well, in this case, I would say, I agree with you. This is a barely any competition type of product, but I pulled this one because I'm not trying to pull products that someone sat down with me and talked to me for like 30 minutes to an hour about it and they're thinking about doing it. But a lot of those products that were coming up are actually very competitive products, and they wanted to get in that category, and I could look at it and be like, man, it's an uphill battle here. Well, when I looked at this and said, well, if you just tweak this on the flavor profile or do something spicy or something like that, you automatically opened up an opportunity that was there. Another form of differentiation, and this one allowed for it, is, I don't know the correct word for this, but I call it like the medium or the substance, and it's changing its state. So in this case, we have Sacha Inchi nuts, but there's Sacha Inchi protein, very little competition. There's Sacha Inchi butter. There's an oil over here. So there's a lot of different ways you could have approached this, and I noticed a lot of people were just going to the supplier and this is the thing you have, and that's all they wanted, and they left. So try to differentiate, try to look at a product, and unless it's one of these weird ones that have next to no competition, don't just walk away, well, I guess I have nothing here because this one's too competitive. Like, think about how you could differentiate the food.
Would you find that most Sacha Inchi suppliers in the US would be able to do a whole bunch of different variations like that?
The ones I spoke to, yeah, it was not an issue. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, maybe there is some that couldn't, but you didn't walk by a booth and see this. You had to kind of ask. Yeah, so that's one. Another thing to do, just a reminder, so when you're going through the catalog afterwards, if you're going to another show, that example I like to give you about the Venn diagram, sometimes having a visual helps. If you don't want to use the Venn diagram, get sticky notes. And just put nuts on one, and then write coffee on another, and just start writing stuff out, and then see where they fit and where they overlap. The example I've given in the group before is chocolate-covered caffeinated nuts.
Yep.
Shockingly, almost no competition. Right. So like when you start putting a few things together, not everything fits. But you have some things that you wouldn't normally think of, like protein popcorn or Sacha Inchi protein popcorn. And you create a lot of really cool opportunities on Amazon.
right?
In Brazil, they have those nuts everywhere.
In Brazil, I didn't even know. Like, I was,
Yeah, garlic, I love them. They're garlic, salty, and a lot of spicy ones.
it would be so easy to do
It's
this.
super cheap, super cheap.
Right, but here's my question, right? Like you come up with chocolate covered Sacha-Inchi nuts. You still would go after the Sacha-Inchi keywords and then figure out how you can find your path somewhere else.
In this case with Sacha-Inchi, yes, because it would be, there is no variation of this that I saw that I couldn't dominate the category in 60 days. If this was, I would say the next one, I think I'm getting into this now, and it was a cool example. Tom and I were talking about it at the airport, but sometimes when Tom and I fly, he brings like the coolest like random snacks you ever think of, and then I get hooked on it, and my subscribe and save jumps up. But one of these things we were snacking on was these flights was macadamia nuts, right? I'd never really had them before. They're addictive. They're freaking amazing. They're expensive too, but macadamia nuts. So there were people in the group that were just looking them to go get macadamia nuts. It's a very difficult category. Very difficult, right? And people would just go there and be like, this is kind of like the reverse of what we just showed. It's like macadamia. You know where I'm about to go, isn't it? Like macadamia nuts, like, no, like I can't do this, it's not gonna fit. Or hopefully you're saying that and you're not going in this with like a $500 a month ad budget, but like, doesn't work and you just walk away. So let's look at this. What could you do with some ingredients here? I don't know any, and that's not where I'm going at with this, but is there a flavored macadamia, is there a complementary flavor that could be put on macadamia nuts? I would ask ChatGPT that to get a head start, but one that does pop up here is the different mediums, if you will, changing the state. So guess what? There is a thing, there's a macadamia nut powder. There is also a macadamia flour, right? And when you do that, look what starts happening. The powder was weird because I think Tom and I were walking by a booth, and if I'm missing something in here, tell me. We were walking by a booth and I saw something and I was like, oh wow, the macadamiums, like the things that we eat, the macadamia nuts. And then I looked at the other booth and I saw this. I saw a maca powder, and I looked so quick that my mind, when it saw maca, saw macadamia. So I was like, macadamia powder. So I went back to look. I was like, oh no, it's maca. But then I was like, is there macadamia powder? Because I myself wasn't going through and saying, hey, let's change the state of this. Like, what is this in a flour form? What is this in a powder? You know what I mean? What happens here? So you could do powdered. Now it goes on anything, right? So now throw up one of your color cards when you're looking for a coating or a flavor to go on something, and you might have like a macadamia powder coated something. But there's also flour. In this case, the actual yep. So in this case though, no one's selling it. So afterwards I started doing some research on this, and I was like, well, if no one's selling something on Amazon, that means there's no one searching for it. Like either that or you found a lotto ticket. And normally you don't find lotto tickets. So I was like, there's nothing here. I actually looked. It is a thing. Like it has a bunch of search for it. There's a lot of applications for it. And yet this person's selling it for $65.99. And
This is selling like a gallon?
right, this shows powder, and it looks, just exploring this listing looks like he did that,
No,
but it also says unsalted chopped.
But he got in trouble because he was claiming that it was a flour, but it was really chopped nuts.
It was really chopped.
Bad review or
Right.
some other listing that had.
Yeah. But there is a market for that, and I didn't know it existed. I wouldn't have been able to pull it up on a software. But just, again, mine was just, I glanced for a second, but it hit me, and I was like, man, I'm not practicing what I preach here. Like, I mean, you can't stop at every booth and do that, but when you now have the catalog, you have access to the catalog, if not through the app, you got to do this. This is how you can differentiate with products. This is how, when we go to PLMA, everyone doesn't have to be selling, unsalted broccoli powder. I don't know, that's not a thing, but like, it's a way where everyone could be kind of going after the same thing, and not everybody is like, choking everybody out because they want to sell pea powder or something, I don't know. But does that help? Does that make any sense at all? Like the differentiating? Like I know we talked about that a lot,
but I noticed when we went to the show, there wasn't a lot of that. And I love the fact that everybody comes back to me and they like want to share what they're thinking of, and you trust me enough to get my feedback. I mean, it means the world to me. But I just, and I'm not calling anyone out, but I notice when that happens, it's like, everybody's looking for the same thing. And I was like, okay, I mean, I guess we share a lot of knowledge together, we learn the same way, we evaluate things the same way, that kind of makes sense. But then, then it dawned on me, I was like, no one's differentiating. Like, and I jumped in there and I just saw it was so much freaking opportunity when you did that. It would be easier to launch and you make more money. Okay, cool. Who's got questions so far? You were trying to say something?
So when I did a little digging on coconut flour, I found that there's like 3 places in the whole, well, in the US.
Throw them a cube, please.
3 places in the whole US that sell it. 2 are in Hawaii, go figure, that's where they have macadamia nuts. And then there's one, nuts.com, which I'm sure you guys have seen on TV, nuts.com. Now they don't private label it, right? So, but you can buy it by the 40-gallon drum and then send it to a co-packer. So you just have to maybe put your thinking cap on in terms of it. Not all these manufacturers are gonna have the whole thing all mixed into one. They're not gonna have the supply and be able to put your private label on it and co-pack it and send it out in one nice little pretty bow. You may have to kind of connect the dots a little bit and get the raw good and then connect with a co-packer. That's what I found with coconut flour.
Thank you. Anybody else feedback on that? Your 2 cents? You want to share something you found in PLMA? Something weird? Something you almost bought and then you were like, almost went in on, and then you did some research and you're like, no, not on my watch.
How do you address 3 or 4 wizards here all telling you they want to do the same product? That's going to be hard, man.
Well, it's always happened, right? And so it's, well, first of all, my first thing that I try to do is I say, hey, if I think that the person doesn't know that I know someone else is selling, the first thing I do is I say, okay, and this is how I have. Mary, I know you're selling such and such. I know somebody else is selling such and such. It's a really good friend of mine. I won't say names because if you don't want this person to know, I won't tell you. But you guys could brainstorm some stuff together. Like, I don't know, you might be able to team buy stuff. Like, are you okay with that? And you might be like, yeah. And then I go to you and I say the same thing. And if you know it, I try to put them together. For one, it puts me in less of an awkward, you know what I mean? I don't have to dance around things. And the other one is, I truly believe there's some power in there, right? Some people would call that price fixing, but I think there's some power there. And sometimes someone's okay with that. In other times, I think it's important to be in a stage where you have firefighters and fire starters. You've heard my thing on this, like firefighters, they're usually the people closest to you, and in a community, that's this. And they will, with the best of intentions, destroy something before it has an opportunity to really get rolling. So I encourage people, while I do think there is a power in sharing what you sell at a certain stage, there is a development, like lab stage, where you're smashing things together and it's vulnerable, that you should just get quiet, work on this. And then later on, if you choose, and if it's beneficial for you to do it, come out and say it. So I try to tell that to everyone so they can feel good in whatever stage they're in with it. Yeah, so I that's what I do when I hear that. This time though, it was like, this was like 99%. Like everyone was talking about the same stuff. Like, I mean, heavy overlap. So I was like, wow, well this is pretty extreme here. So I wanted to think on it more, and that's when it dawned on me about the differentiation. And I'm like, guys, the other thing is in the food space with PLMA, it's not as bad as, say, both of you are selling French presses. Like, that's much more extreme. Yeah, okay. Did that help? Did that make any sense? Do you disagree? Would you do it differently? Because I don't have like the playbook on it.
I have no idea how I would do it, man. Sorry.
Yeah. And then on the services side, I'll just say, hey, look, I got to talk to so-and-so before we could possibly do something, because full transparency, I do blank. And then the majority of the time I tell both people, I'm just like, in reality, both of you are going to benefit from this, because I can't unsee a keyword pattern that works. And somebody paid for that, and that's going to happen both ways. So as long as I think it's more about transparency.
Yeah. All right. Here's another one. Not enough people are talking about this. A lot of you will come up to me and be like, check out this product. And like, what do you think? I'm like, I'm kind of ambivalent about it. Like, I don't, does it have low competition? Does it have, so there's a lot of other things I look for. But one of the things I look for, and I don't hear it talked about a lot, and if you use Keyword Scout by Jungle Scout, it would be a good starting spot, is the cost, the keywords that you would need to go after for this to work. Because that's what it's boiling down to. And how affordable or not affordable those keywords are. And does it match your budget? Like how expensive is it going to be to rank for this? If you can't, you might look at this and realize I'm not going to be able to, like, realistically, you know, the only way this is a win for me is if I win on these keywords, and that ain't happening. Like, everything else could check out, and not that, and it's not a good product. Like, you just pass, like, go somewhere else. Not enough people were looking into the keywords I noticed at PLMA.
Super important.
It's critical. Like, not enough people were looking at the keywords for the products that they were looking at. There are scenarios, and they're not that uncommon, where you see a little competition, but there's only very few keywords that are getting all the sales. And if those are, if someone has that in an iron fist, like one or two sellers, and it's not going anywhere, like, you will be stuck. You will be stuck not moving inventory, or not moving inventory profitably with very little competition. It's just the little competition that's there is an 800-pound gorilla, you know. So there's a lot of tools you can use, but check out Keyword Scout, check out Data Dive, get in with the keywords. Just like, is that a good wholesale supplier? I don't know. Are they cool with me selling on Amazon? Is there a profit margin? Are the MOQs in line with me not doing an extinction level purchase? No, all that checks out, then yeah, Amazon's not selling on the box, then let's do it. Same thing with private label. The keywords make sense and all that. You got to look at all that. All right, does that make sense to anybody? All right, I'm super ahead of schedule on this. The last thing I wanted to add, is I was expecting a ton of questions on those products, but you guys, okay, thank you.
Since you're running ahead,
Yeah,
back to the keyword.
sure.
I needed a little more clarification. So if it's a product that comes up with little competition, that's a good place to start. Or a product that comes up with medium level of competition or no competition, because then no one's looking for the keyword. So where do you want to be?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, and it's different stages. Like, one that we all do here when we talk in meetings is we search for it and we talk about, you know, how many listings are coming up for that, and we're gauging off that. At some point, you got to look at some stuff and see if it's worth doing a deep dive in doing it. Like, it's not selling on Amazon, and it's an invention. Nah, there's no search for this. Like, no one's looking for this, right?
You can't manifest interest.
I'm
It either exists or it doesn't.
Right. I'm not going to go do keyword research on that.
So no existence is bad.
It's bad
It's horrible.
for Amazon.
Yeah.
But it could be great for TikTok.
We're talking Amazon, yeah.
Right. So bad for Amazon, great for TikTok. So the next level is going to be very little competition, like next to no competition on this thing, and meh on search, like search volume. And you could be looking at this like, I'm not going to retire off this possibly, but this looks really easy. Like, if I just wanted to cash flow some little thing here, maybe it's a mortgage. I don't know. Maybe it's just so easy that why not? This could cover a chunk of my payroll, you know, whatever. But it's worth now digging in a little more if you want to do that, because there could be somebody there, like one or two players that are getting all, like, they're just dominating on the one or two keywords that all the sales are coming from. I guess an extreme example of that, without going too far into the weeds, would be, Lego. Yeah, think it'd be a good example? Lego with the people, yeah, Lego works. We all know what Lego is. We all know kids like to play with those blocks. You could easily find suppliers that will make those blocks that look just like Lego, and you can call them anything you want. And there's a lot of search. I mean, pretty much every freaking kid I know wants to play with Legos, and every parent doesn't like stepping on Legos. And some adults like playing with Legos. But, do you know how many search terms? You know how many search terms do you need to win to dominate in Legos? To sell Legos? One. Legos.
Legos.
And you know who's winning all of those sales? Legos. So it doesn't matter that it's a massive category. It doesn't matter what color you paint them. It doesn't matter if each one of the bricks is a different flag in the world. It doesn't matter. They're searching for Legos, and the category, the keywords that are relevant to that. There's a few exceptions here, but that's where you need to win, and you're not going to win that. So you need to look for scenarios like that, regardless of the search volume or level of competition, because in some cases it ain't going to happen. Anybody have another example that they want to share on a different product? Xerox. Yeah. Xerox machines. Yeah.
Do they exist?
Yeah, do they? Does Xerox?
Ziploc bags, right?
Ziploc bags.
Oh, zip.
Tabasco. Right. So you just, and those are extreme examples to kind of hammer home the point. You need to make sure that you're looking for a lot of keywords, not just a handful of keywords that are dominated by a bunch of people. And if you don't win on any of them, you're done.
But now that's a conversation we're talking about branded versus non-branded. If it's a non-branded keyword,
right,
with space that you can fit into the top 10.
Sure. Yeah, if it's a non-branded keyword, yeah. Any other questions?
Can you run through an example? Maybe that can help her out. Like, I was looking at banana powder.
Yeah.
Right? So explain, I guess, how you research that keyword to help everyone maybe understand that they're not buying something so expensive as Lego, but they're buying banana powder as a potential private label product.
So banana powder. In this case, kind of before we lose the thread, it's a non-branded search. It's a non-branded search term. So there's no, this isn't Jello, which is a Jello powder, right? This is banana powder. So we immediately know we're not possibly dealing with a Lego scenario by looking at this product. You with me? The thing most people just look at in the beginning is this, which is, you should look at it, right? But not make an entire decision off of this. And that is, there's only, in the entire Amazon catalog, there is only 526 results coming up for banana powder.
Give me an example of something similar, that you would think, oh, we could probably work this, but you have a lot more results. Let's say collagen peptides.
My God. I've been going down the peptide route.
Over 2,000.
Right.
It doesn't tell you more, but it's probably more like 20,000.
Right. It just pegged out here.
They're like,
Yeah. And that's for collagen peptides, for that specific search. Like, that's how many people are coming up for this. The next thing you're kind of looking at here is, and this isn't necessarily the order you need to go in, but it's kind of the order you're going to fall in, because you're probably looking for inspiration looking at Amazon, right? And right now we're not using any software. But one of the other quick glances you want to look at is like the degree of competition that comes up for this. It doesn't mean everything, but one thing, your quick glance, you can't help but look, is reviews, right? Quick look at reviews is, and the reason why I start in sponsored, not just because it shows up first, because that's your only chance on a new launch of getting sales, is right there. So like, it's good to see what those first 4 organic placements are, those non-sponsored products, but, and for those of you that are new and not into this, like, here's the sponsored ads. But this is who you're competing with when you launch. It's gonna be these people running ads right here, right? So when we talked about earlier, I was like, I need them to look at your product and nobody else is like that. You need to be the scroll stopper there to get that attention, probably against them. And looking at this, It's like, okay. 35,000, 67,000, 200,000 multiple times, 300,000 multiple times. I'm looking at this and I'm like, I could win. I could do better packaging. I could do better packaging, right? But is there a packaging example that I set up here? You know, this is also something you're consuming. You know, so I look really quick at that. I look really quick. Again, I've just been doing this a long time. I look really quick to see, like, is there packaging? Are they playing the Amazon game, or is this someone on a retail shelf that, you know, I can gobble out of market share from? And looking here, I'm going to just say, I'm gonna say they're playing the Amazon game. Like, first glance, you're saying, well, you know what, Carlos? They're not optimizing. They're not adding all the ingredients outside of them. Only one of them is. But they actually are. They just brought it onto the packaging. So a long time ago, they probably had it outside, and they've continued to involve their packaging to include it. So I would just glance at this and be like, yeah, maybe if I got really, really, really bored and had nothing else to do, and I liked this category, would I get in it? And again, this is if I was just using Amazon, if I was just using Amazon ads, I had no list, no social media, not talking about anything else. Again, this was a purely Amazon play, just off ads. Personally, I wouldn't do it.
So,
And this is his product, by the way, the guy talking right here.
speaking on the topic, right? So let's say I want to get into this niche or some different niche, right? And I see this organ, if you look at the organ collagen peptides,
Yeah.
you see, let's say, for the sake of it, right, hydrolyzed collagen peptides. If nobody's using the brand hydrolyzed, let's say I create a brand hydrolyzed, and I go copyright this keyword, how possible is it to do? You know, you can go on auto suggest and see what keywords are coming up, and let's say there's certain, like, I don't know, you were in banana powder, let's say some kind of banana powder, best banana powder, right? Let's say we create the brand that's called best, and then we use that keyword to dominate our branded search. Is it possible to do so?
Yeah, I've seen it happen where somebody tricked Amazon, and you know, once Amazon, if you can get it approved on the USPTO,
Yeah,
and if you can get past that stage,
hydrolyzed.
and yes, in this case, and say you then turn, like you somehow passed there, and now you showed it to Amazon. Amazon is not in the game of, we want to make legal decisions. They're just like, forget it. So-and-so showed me this, I'm not going to use no common sense. That means the reaction here is suppress the list. You know what I mean? Come back and suppress the listing. Now, in this case, yes, I've seen that sometimes. In a case like this, with this person doing nearly 300,000 subscribe and saves, let's say, that's getting challenged. Like, and it's going to be pretty rapid. They're probably going to countersue you, like, assuming that you incorrectly got that. So you can get IP protections, but IP protections can be challenged. If you were in a category where, you know, people were getting
The big guys, right?
well, if you were in the big guys, you're not going to be able to pull that off in a meaningful way. But if you're in a category that sells 1,500 units a month, somebody else is looking at this and be like, oh man, that sucks. I just messed up, but I'm definitely not paying a bunch of money to a lawyer. And those stick a little longer. Yeah. Where a solid strategy is ranking your branded terms. So let's say you have a humidor. You're in the cigar humidor space, and you decide you're going to say, I'm going to get a trademark on Sure Seal technology. And you start creating some content out there about the importance of Sure Seal technology in keeping your cigars safe. And you start doing awareness campaigns, and now people are searching for Sure Seal technology. And it's a trademark. Other people, I know this because I did this. I just started putting Sure Seal technology in my thing. We got sued. Because the person, basically, they ranked their IP. And that's a solid move. But you really got to know what you're doing to pull that off. And if you can get the industry to say, we're searching for this thing, I think it's a solid move to do. Just understand it's difficult to really make it stick. But if you get it stick, man, it's,
And you can technically you can copyright it, and you can have an option not to enforce it. It'll still gonna rank number one.
yeah. Another one is to come up with a brand name that is your keywords that you're going for. So I know a brand, they're into the hyperhidrosis space, specifically for the shirt patches, so you don't have that, big stain or excessive sweating there. And it's called Sweat Block. They decided to come up with a name. They came up with a brand name. They got a trademark called Sweat Block. I mean, that's a powerful search term that people are going for within that, and now it's right there at the front of their listing. But again, very difficult to be able to get like a 1 or 2 keyword anything, let alone one that you're going to be able to trademark and that is relevant to your. But yeah, it's possible. To the banana powder though, looking at this, I look at it and initially it's just like, okay, only 526 results. I really don't think anyone is loyal. Like, whose brand? What brand are you loyal to for banana powder? Like, who knew banana powder existed until we started talking about PLMA, right? Looking at the same thing, I'd look at this and say, okay. I'll say, okay, there's some people here that are doing something, but if I'm just looking at reviews, you immediately look at 104 is easy. Like, I can come on that. We can do some Vine review cloning and be right there with all of them. These things seem to all be at about 4 stars. So there's something to look deeper into there as to why these people are landing on 4 stars and not 5. And then
With a listing, would it be like wise to differentiate yourself by like adding like superior banana powder or premium banana powder, like adding something like that, even though it's not copyrighted, just to show you're like better?
I don't think that I would put that in my title, but if I felt premium would do it, I'd add it to my packaging and have it.
Organic.
Yeah, organic if you are organic. It's a great way to get sued if you're not. Like, they're strict about
Fair
that.
trade, same thing. If you're not, you better be.
Right, you gotta be careful. You get something like cruelty free. Like, you better be, because they're gonna get you. But I look at this. My immediate concern would be, they're gonna be 2. I'd be like, 1, there's how do you search for banana powder? Like, what are the search terms that you look for banana powder? Banana powder. There's not a lot that you're going for. You're not looking for fruit powder. Like, no, you're going for the fruit. You're looking for a specific, so there's very few keywords that you can go after. Which, again, having looked at this already, I think fruit, yeah. So having looked at this already, the cost per click on this was redonkulously high.
But that's what I'm trying to explain, like, even if you found this and you could source it for $2 and it was bananas and apples for $4, and there's somebody up there selling it for $29.99, how would someone go about searching for the keywords? Kind of what I was explaining.
Yeah, I would use keyword. The easiest way to just get a quick glance, I would use Keyword Scout, and if you like what you saw there, I'd bring in Data Dive. That would be the 2 things you do.
Cost per clicks, clicks per sale, all that
Yeah,
stuff is important.
yeah. That's where you get on Data Dive. But the immediate one, like the quick glances before I sit down and get a glass of wine for the evening and go deep on this, would be, the quick glance would be looking at this, right here.
I'm trying to unpack to give you an example, like to find something, okay, this might work, but then.
Yeah, this is checking out, except first, there's not a lot of keywords that you can go after on this. There's 1. And
But is it one because you actually did the research?
no, it's not just 1, but it's
Yeah, but like very few because you did the research?
yeah, because I did the research and then I just looked at it. When I see that,
I'm just trying to help them unpack the research that you're talking
Oh.
about. So it's like, you go through looking for all the few keywords that they are, looking how much they would possibly be.
I could put a Loom video together. It's one of those things that just takes a bit of time and loading stuff and looking. So it takes a bit of time to do, but it's not that hard once you see to do it. And besides, if you also didn't like my Loom video, if you go to Jungle Scout, Keyword Scout, or Helium 10 as an equivalent, or whatever, you just go on there. On that page, they show you a quick tutorial on how to, better than mine.
But like Tom was saying, a real quick, like, first look, right? I would be like, oh, I can get it for $2, I can sell it for $20. This is great, and there's only 500. And then you forget the fact that it's limited keywords. So the limitation on the keywords is going to be.
I made an assumption on that by looking at it and just
No,
looking
but
at
I
a lot
made
of.
the same assumption when it first came up, and then you.
Well, I
said
checked it out.
You validated that. So, because what else are you gonna look for other than
Yeah.
banana?
If this thing had like 50 keywords that you could do something on, like I would be like, whoa, this checks out. Because everything else I feel like I can catch. The only reason this one's $26.99 is it's 3 pounds.
But even if it was 50 keywords, and every single keyword is like $2 cost per click.
Right.
That's another.
But when you have fewer keywords,
So
usually that means
right,
the
that's
competition
it.
on those keywords is fierce.
And
it just
expensive.
and when you have high competition and fierce when you're going after keywords, that means your cost per click just went up really high.
Got it, okay.
Right. Because otherwise you're looking at this and you're like, man, I can crush this packaging. The price I get is blank, and there's only blank, you do it, and then you just. Oh, I don't remember. I got here today at 4:30. I think I sent it to you, didn't I? No? Or did we talk about it at the breakfast? What was it? I don't remember which one it was.
There's something called banana flowers.
Yeah. I think I want to say it was like 240, but like 220, 240, something like that.
So if it is 240, where's your go, no go?
I'm not.
Well, let's assume it's 240, and it takes the market on average 10 clicks.
Yeah.
10 clicks. So you're gonna spend $24 to get a sale as long as you match the market.
And then maybe 5% do a subscribe and save. That doesn't. The math doesn't math.
The math doesn't matter,
Yeah.
right? It's about finding those keywords where people make faster decisions, and it also has a lot of volume, and it's also cheap.
And look what they did. It seems like $26.99. That's why they have so many reviews, and they're probably 100% reliant on paid ads, right? Because if they show up, yeah. But yeah, all right. We're about to wrap up. Next year for PLMA, I'll bring this up a few more times during the year. Next year for PLMA, we're doing something different as a group. There's going to be a lot more structure around the group. A lot of events, a lot of cool stuff on the ground. The next one we do as a group, there'll be a ticket cost just because we want to do all these other things. It'll be very nominal. Don't worry about it. And it'll be structured in a way to where the cost to go as a group will be the purchase of a nominally priced course. And the reason for that mainly, besides being able to offset everything else we're doing, is going to be so that when you go there, you're ready to hit the ground running and you're not needing to. I will talk to you, but if you pull me to the side, you'd be like, what's a co-packer? You really don't want to be asking that while you're there at the show. So the idea is that you're fully up to speed, fully educated, ready to do some damage before hitting PLMA. Okay? So cost of admission would be a course. I think it's going to fall in like the $300 to $400 range. Yeah, just putting that out there. So you'll probably see some emails from me talking about it. It's a year away. So don't wait till the next PLMA before you source. The catalog is still available for free as soon as we upload it. The 2023 is already up. Use it. And thank you guys. One more thing. We're going to hang out. We're going to network. Miria's here just in case you wanted to network and ask her any questions. Take advantage while she's here. And remember, we don't have a meetup next Saturday because of Thanksgiving weekend. All right? Thank you.